In the beginning of this chapter of Earth's story, the world is wounded. It is the end of the Triassic period. A massive extinction event has just ravaged the planet. Over 70% of all terrestrial vertebrate species have vanished. The Earth, once teeming with early reptiles and amphibians, now lies quiet, smouldering from a catastrophe the planet has not yet fully understood. The skies are tinted with ash. The oceans are acidic and disturbed. On land, silence prevails. This was not the first mass extinction, but for the dinosaurs, it would be the most important one, because it cleared the stage. Scientists believe that intense volcanic activity, known today as the Central Atlantic Magmatic Province, released vast amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The climate shifted drastically. Oxygen levels dropped, acid rain poured. Ecosystems that had thrived for millions of years collapsed in a geological instant. The world reset. In this fragile moment, the Earth stood still for recovery. This void gave an opportunity. Among the few survivors were small, agile creatures that walked on two legs. They were warm-blooded. They were fast, and they were different. They were the ancestors of what would soon dominate the world. They were the early dinosaurs. In the late Triassic, dinosaurs were not the dominant force. They shared the world with large amphibians and a wide variety of early reptiles. It was only after the extinction swept away the competition that dinosaurs rose to prominence. These early dinosaurs were small and lightweight. Some could run swiftly, others had teeth adapted for slicing. One such species, Coelophysis, roamed the landscape in what is now North America. With sharp claws and a keen sense of smell, Coelophysis was a sign of what was to come. The Earth's crust continued to shift. Pangea, the supercontinent, slowly began to split. As the land cracked and spread, new coastlines formed. This opened new ecological niches. The world was becoming more complex, more fragmented, and this fragmentation led to diversification. As plants recovered, so did herbivorous life. Ferns and conifers spread across the land. They would soon become the foundation of entire ecosystems. The dinosaurs that fed on them evolved to match. Longer necks, bigger stomachs, stronger limbs. While all this occurred on the surface, the ocean remained in turmoil. Many marine species perished during the Triassic extinction. Ammonites, early marine reptiles, and coral reefs suffered heavy losses. But like life always does, they adapted and returned. Beneath the waters, ichthyosaurs began to thrive again. With bodies shaped like dolphins and eyes the size of dinner plates, they hunted with precision. Their return signaled a stabilization of the oceans. On land, the temperature fluctuated. Regions that were once tropical became arid. Deserts formed, dry seasons stretched, but life persisted. And with each generation, dinosaurs grew larger and more diverse. Insects returned in vast numbers. Beetles, dragonflies, and ancient flies buzzed through the vegetation. They pollinated, they decomposed, they fed the smallest creatures. And those smallest creatures fed the dinosaurs. Evolution works through trial and error. In this time of rebuilding, it worked at full speed. Within a few million years, dozens of new species emerged. Some vanished just as quickly. Others laid the foundation for future giants. Even mammals were present, small, nocturnal, and shy. These early mammals lived in the shadows. They were not the rulers, not yet. They would wait patiently for their time to come. Meanwhile, the early Jurassic loomed ahead. The world was warming. The climate began to stabilize. Vegetation covered the land. The skies cleared. The oceans calmed. And the dinosaurs grew. They adapted to every environment, from riverbanks to dry plains, from volcanic highlands to ancient deltas. Each habitat gave rise to different forms. Some walked on two legs, others on four. Some hunted in packs, others grazed in herds. They were no longer just survivors, they were explorers, engineers of ecosystems. They influenced every part of their environment. With the fall of the Triassic empires, the age of dinosaurs began not with a roar, but with cautious steps. Every footfall across muddy ground marked the slow reclaiming of a world nearly lost. This was not yet the age of Tyrannosaurus, not yet the era of colossal sauropods, but it was the spark, the beginning of dominance. As the Earth turned and the sun rose over the new Jurassic horizon, it shone down on creatures that had seized an opportunity born of destruction. They would grow taller, stronger, and more varied than anything before them. The Earth had chosen its new rulers, and the age of dinosaur domination had just begun. As the Jurassic period begins, the Earth awakens. The chaos of the Triassic extinction is over. The scars of destruction still linger, but life is no longer hiding. It is expanding, adapting, evolving. The planet is healing, and with each sunrise, it becomes more vibrant. This is a world of change. Pangea is starting to rift apart, its immense landmass slowly stretching and cracking. From this tearing comes the birth of new continents. Shallow seas begin to invade the interior. Coastlines form where none existed. Massive volcanic regions rise, shaping not just the land but the atmosphere itself. In this evolving environment, dinosaurs begin to dominate. They are no longer fringe survivors. They are the architects of a new world order. At first, their presence is modest. Species like Sarcosaurus and Scutellosaurus are small but quick. They occupy the roles of agile hunters and nimble herbivores. They scurry across floodplains and dart between conifers. They are not yet giants, but they are builders of the future. The early Jurassic climate is warm and moist. Rainfall is common. Lush forests of ferns, cycads, and ginkgo trees blanket the land. This fertile landscape offers safety and sustenance, and it encourages life to flourish in every direction. Herbivores thrive first. Species like Heterodontosaurus develop complex teeth that allow them to grind tough plants. Their beaks snip at fronds and low shrubs. In turn, these small herbivores become prey for nimble predators. Predators such as Dilophosaurus rise to the challenge. Slender and fast, with twin crests on their heads, they are among the first large carnivores of the Jurassic. They move with confidence, hunting both alone and in groups. They are built not just for speed, but for strategy. These dinosaurs reshape the food web. For the first time, land ecosystems are centered around dinosaur activity. They dictate where herds travel, where plants take root, and where scavengers gather. The Jurassic dawn also witnesses the first major radiation of sauropodomorphs. These ancestors of the later sauropod giants begin to stretch in both size and behavior. Species like Plateosaurus and Anchisaurus grow longer necks and bulkier bodies. They feed on high branches, outcompeting smaller herbivores. Their growth is not only a biological achievement, but also an ecological revolution. By browsing at heights unreachable to others, they unlock new levels of the food chain. They become living machines, processing vast amounts of plant material and fertilizing the ground with their waste. Dinosaurs begin to fill every role: browsers, grazers, runners, jumpers, stalkers. They inhabit forests, floodplains, deserts, and coastal regions. Their diversity becomes the signature of the Jurassic era. Yet, they are not alone. Crocodile ancestors such as Protosuchus hunt along riverbanks. Early turtles paddle through freshwater pools. Giant amphibians lurk in the shadows, remnants of a forgotten world. In the skies above, change is also unfolding. The first true pterosaurs glide through the air. Dimorphodon, with its large head and membranous wings, clings to cliffs and swoops over canyons. It is not a dinosaur, but it shares the stage. On the forest floor, small feathered creatures begin to emerge. They are not yet birds, but they hint at what is coming. Their feathers are not for flight, but for warmth, display, and camouflage. This innovation will one day reshape evolution. Mammals still exist, but they remain hidden, nocturnal, burrowing, and cautious. They avoid open spaces. They survive by staying out of sight. As the Jurassic progresses, the scale of dinosaurs increases dramatically. The first true sauropods appear. Creatures like Vulcanodon and Barapasaurus grow to lengths unimaginable in the Triassic. Their size defies the limits of bone and muscle. They reshape the very terrain they walk on. Each step from these behemoths compacts the soil. Their feeding habits sculpt the vegetation. Their herds migrate with the seasons, creating pathways that will last for generations. Alongside them, predators adapt in kind. Megalosaurus and Ceratosaurus evolve into faster, stronger, more intelligent hunters. They develop better vision, more powerful jaws, and complex hunting strategies. The arms race between predator and prey begins. With every advantage a herbivore develops, the carnivores respond. Armor plating, spiked tails, keen hearing, and explosive speed appear across various species. Dinosaurs become masters of their environment, and the world adapts to them. Storms sweep across inland seas, rivers flood and shift course. Fire periodically rips through forests, but the dinosaurs endure. They are built to handle a dynamic planet. By now, Pangea's split is more pronounced. As continents drift apart, isolated populations begin to evolve independently. This leads to even greater diversity. In what will become North America, one set of species dominates. In what will become Africa or Asia, entirely different lineages begin to appear. Evolution thrives on separation. And the Jurassic world is fragmenting perfectly for innovation. Some dinosaurs grow horns, others grow frills. Some evolve into pack hunters, others into massive solitary titans. The ecosystem becomes more layered, more detailed, more alive. Life now pulses with rhythm. Migrations follow rainfall. Nesting seasons align with lunar cycles. Predator movements match prey density. This is not chaos, it is orchestration, a global concert of life conducted by dinosaurs. At this stage in history, dinosaurs are no longer passengers on the planet. They are its engineers, its architects, its rulers. They have come a long way from the scrappy survivors of the Triassic extinction, and yet, their journey is just beginning. In the next chapter of the Jurassic, dinosaurs will reach sizes never seen before. The oceans will fill with leviathans. The skies will shimmer with feathered gliders. And the story of domination will move toward its climax. But for now, in the warmth of the early Jurassic sun, dinosaurs have claimed their world. The reshaped Earth belongs to them, and nothing can stand in their way. The land that once formed a single vast supercontinent is no longer whole. Pangea, the mighty landmass that united nearly all of Earth's continents, begins to fracture. Invisible forces deep beneath the crust are tearing it apart. Slowly, over millions of years, rifts open. Molten rock rises from below. Vast volcanic regions erupt, creating new oceans between drifting lands. As the pieces of Pangea drift away from one another, they carry with them the future of evolution. This continental breakup will shape the destiny of dinosaurs. It will decide who thrives, who changes, and who vanishes. As the landmasses split, new coastlines emerge, climates shift, ocean currents change direction. Regions once connected by lush forests become divided by seas. And with every mile that continents drift, dinosaur species are isolated. This isolation is the engine of diversity. Populations once unified are now split apart. Some live in dry deserts, others adapt to wet tropical forests. In time, they change. They grow horns, feathers, armor, or frills. They develop new ways of feeding, fighting, and surviving. In what will one day become Africa, massive sauropods dominate. Creatures like Jobaria and Spinophorosaurus evolve into towering plant eaters with elongated necks and barrel-shaped bodies. They roam in vast herds across floodplains, consuming tons of vegetation each day. In what will become North America, different giants appear. Camarasaurus, Diplodocus, and Apatosaurus grow longer and heavier. Their bones are hollowed to support massive size without collapsing under their own weight. Their necks sweep across ancient fern fields like living cranes. Meanwhile, in what will become Europe, land fragments into a chain of islands. Here, evolution takes a strange turn. On isolated islands with limited resources, dwarf species evolve. Small sauropods and miniaturized carnivores inhabit tight spaces, adapting to island life. In South America, isolation gives rise to fierce predators. Theropods like Abelisaurus and later Carnotaurus evolve with short snouts, tiny arms, and powerful jaws. They stalk prey across humid plains, relying on ambush and brute strength. Australia and Antarctica, once connected, begin their slow journey south. The climate here becomes cooler. Dinosaurs in these regions adapt to lower light, seasonal darkness, and limited food supplies. They develop larger eyes and slower metabolisms. In Asia, new predators emerge with advanced features. The ancestors of raptors begin to appear. They are smaller, faster, and more intelligent. Their feet are built for gripping. Their claws for slashing. The drifting continents do more than just divide. They reshape the atmosphere. Massive volcanic eruptions linked to continental rifting release carbon dioxide into the sky. Global temperatures rise. The climate becomes unstable. Ice is absent at the poles. The Earth becomes a humid greenhouse. Rising seas flood low-lying areas. Shallow marine habitats explode with life. Coral reefs expand. Ammonites diversify. Marine reptiles grow larger and more numerous. The seas between the continents become highways for oceanic giants. Plesiosaurs with long necks and powerful flippers glide through the water. Ichthyosaurs with torpedo-shaped bodies hunt in pods. Continental drift also causes immense stress. Earthquakes become more frequent. Volcanoes shape entire regions. Tectonic collisions form mountain chains. Habitats are destroyed and rebuilt again and again. This turmoil, however, fuels evolution. Dinosaurs are not just surviving this global rearrangement, they are thriving because of it. Each new continent becomes a laboratory of natural selection. Predator and prey co-evolve. Herbivores grow tougher skin. Predators develop sharper teeth. Some grow spines and sails to regulate body heat. Others evolve tail clubs and head crests for communication or combat. The splitting of Pangea changes more than geography. It changes time itself. Days grow shorter as the planet spins faster. Years become longer as the moon slowly drifts away. Gravity and tides adjust. All of this subtly influences life on Earth. With every inch the continents drift apart, the identity of dinosaurs deepens. They are no longer just a class of reptiles. They are now a global phenomenon, adaptable, powerful, and utterly dominant. Air currents shift along with the continents. Monsoons strike inland regions. Dry seasons stretch longer in arid zones. Dinosaur migrations follow these patterns. They move with the rain. They give birth in times of plenty. They die in droughts. These changing conditions make dinosaurs smarter, more coordinated, more social. Some form tight-knit herds. Others use vocalizations to communicate over distance. They raise their young with care. They defend territory with teamwork. The splitting world creates pockets of innovation, and in those pockets, new forms rise. Armored stegosaurs appear with plates and spikes to deter attackers. Massive carnivores grow feathers, not for flight, but for display and thermoregulation. Continental drift also affects the skies. The early pterosaurs evolve into dozens of new forms. Some soar high over oceans, diving for fish. Others stalk inland rivers. Their wingspans stretch wider than any bird today. The Earth has become a dynamic mosaic. No longer a single landmass, but a complex network of biomes, climates, and evolutionary theaters. Dinosaurs, once regional survivors, have now become planetary rulers. From the deserts of ancient Africa to the swamps of Proto-Asia, they walk every corner of the globe. And they are still changing. Continental drift is not just a backdrop to their story. It is the very force that molds their future. It will decide which species will rise and which will fall. As the Jurassic marches forward, dinosaurs adapt to a world in motion. And in doing so, they become more than survivors. They become legends written across the shifting face of the Earth. As the Jurassic period settles into its middle phase, the Earth enters a golden age of life. The destruction of the past has given way to renewal. A new climate now takes hold. Volcanic activity still rumbles across the continents, but instead of devastation, it now enriches the soil. Carbon dioxide levels remain high, creating a warm and humid atmosphere. There are no ice caps. Tropical conditions stretch from pole to pole. This is the world in which life flourishes. Dense forests of conifers, cycads, and ginkgo trees dominate the landscape. Beneath them, ferns spread like carpets, creating lush ground cover across vast plains. The oxygen-rich air feeds the growth of plants in every corner of the planet. This greenery becomes the fuel for giants. Herbivorous dinosaurs, now fully established across all continents, grow to enormous sizes. They feed endlessly, stripping trees bare and leaving trampled trails behind them. Their grazing patterns influence the growth of vegetation, just as elephants and bison would do millions of years later. Species like Apatosaurus and Camarasaurus graze in herds. Their massive bodies sweep through forests like bulldozers. Their long necks allow them to reach both high branches and low shrubs without moving their bulk. Every part of their anatomy is adapted to maximize intake and efficiency. These massive herbivores are not solitary. They move in groups. They raise their young together. They migrate in response to seasonal changes in vegetation. And in doing so, they shape the very fabric of the landscape. The dinosaurs' movement breaks new paths for water to flow. Their droppings fertilize the land. Their presence alone determines which plant species survive and which ones are consumed into extinction. Where there are herbivores, predators follow. Allosaurus emerges as the apex predator of the mid-Jurassic. It is swift, powerful, and intelligent. Its skull is light but strong. Its teeth are serrated for slicing through flesh. Allosaurus does not simply chase. It plans, it watches, it waits. Pack behavior is suspected among these predators. Cooperation gives them an advantage against larger prey. They may have coordinated ambushes or driven herds into traps. Fossil evidence of group sites suggests a social dynamic more complex than once believed. But Allosaurus is not alone. Megalosaurus, Ceratosaurus, and smaller agile hunters fill different ecological roles. Some focus on young or weak prey, others scavenge. Each species has carved out its place. Amidst these giants, smaller creatures find shelter. Stegosaurs roam under the shadows of sauropods. With their double row of plates and dangerous tail spikes, they are built for defense. Their small brains contrast with their massive bodies, but they survive through instinct and armor. Early ankylosaurs begin to appear. Their bodies are low to the ground, heavily armored, and built like tanks. Their skin is covered in thick nodules. Their tails grow stiff and club-like. These creatures do not flee from danger. They stand their ground. The skies above teem with flying reptiles. Pterosaurs have diversified. Species like Rhamphorhynchus glide over lakes and rivers, their long tails acting as stabilizers. They dive for fish, nest in cliffs, and live alongside rivers. Insects buzz through the air in growing numbers. Dragonflies with wingspans the length of a human arm dart through ferns. Beetles burrow into dead wood. Early flies and wasps pollinate the first cone-bearing plants. And within the foliage, something strange is happening. Small feathered dinosaurs begin to emerge. Their feathers are not for flight, but for warmth, camouflage, and mating displays. Some may use their arms to glide short distances. Others flap to maintain balance or intimidate rivals. Species like Eoraptor and Compsognathus represent this transition. They are light, fast, and clever. They are unlike the massive beasts around them. They move in bursts, darting between shadows, hunting insects, or small vertebrates. This middle Jurassic period is not just the age of giants, it is the age of ecological layering. Every ecosystem is complex. Rivers support amphibians and fish. Forests shelter nesting grounds. Lakes become hubs of activity. High canopies hold pterosaurs and early birds. The forest floor teems with life unseen by the titans above. Storms roll through frequently. Lightning ignites dry brush. Wildfires race through the undergrowth, clearing old growth and making way for new plants. The cycle of destruction and renewal continues. Dinosaurs adapt to every challenge. In drought, they dig for water or migrate. In floods, they seek higher ground. Their feet are padded for soft earth, their nostrils raised for breathing while wading, their lungs more efficient than any reptile before them. The climate is not static. It pulses with warmth, rain, and movement. It rewards flexibility and punishes fragility. Those that survive this age do so not by brute strength alone, but by understanding rhythm, by moving with the earth. As the Jurassic continues, life becomes more specialized. Predators are no longer generalists. They evolve to hunt specific prey. Herbivores develop unique defenses tailored to their threats. Even plants evolve toxins or tough leaves to deter being eaten. Evolution has become a chess game. Move by move, adaptation by adaptation, species rise and fall, and the world, in its rich diversity, becomes a theater of life unmatched in its complexity. From the deserts of early Africa to the coastal marshes of Proto-Asia, this is a world alive in every sense. And at the center of it all, dinosaurs reign supreme. They are not merely creatures of bone and muscle. They are the sculptors of ecosystems, the regulators of energy, the bridge between plant and predator. As the Jurassic world flourishes, it sets the stage for even more astonishing transformations ahead. The next era will bring not just new giants, but entirely new worlds. Continents will drift farther, climates will shift again, and new dinosaurs will rise from the fertile soil of opportunity. But for now, the Earth is green, the sky is wide, and the age of domination continues with breathtaking beauty. As the Jurassic period unfolds, the age of giants begins in full force. The Earth, now a land of warmth and abundance, creates the perfect environment for evolution to push the limits of life. And in this era of opportunity, a new group of dinosaurs rises to unparalleled heights. They are the sauropods. Towering, long-necked, and heavy as steam locomotives, sauropods are unlike anything that walked the Earth before. They are not hunters, they are not armored, they are not fast. Yet they will come to dominate the Jurassic world in size, in numbers, and in impact. They begin with simple origins. Their ancestors, the prosauropods, were smaller and more versatile. Species like Plateosaurus roamed during the late Triassic, walking both upright and on all fours. They fed on soft plants and had flexible diets. These early creatures laid the blueprint for what was to come. As time moved into the early Jurassic, a shift occurred. Some species began to grow larger, their limbs stronger, their necks longer. This change was not random. It was the result of evolutionary pressure. Plants had grown tall, forests had matured. Food was no longer only on the ground. Those that could reach higher survived the longest. The first true sauropods emerged in this context. Species like Vulcanodon appeared in what is now Africa. Although not yet giants by later standards, they were large by any comparison to other dinosaurs of their time. They had long tails, pillar-like legs, and bodies built for endurance rather than speed. In India, Barapasaurus took form. It reached lengths of over 15 meters. Its spine was strengthened by deep chevrons, helping it support the weight of its enormous tail. Its teeth were spoon-shaped, adapted to strip leaves and branches with each bite. These early sauropods marked the beginning of a transformation in dinosaur biology. Unlike other herbivores, they did not chew their food. They swallowed vegetation whole, relying on massive stomachs to ferment and digest plant material over long periods. This internal adaptation allowed them to consume large quantities of low-nutrient plants that other creatures avoided. Their size became their strength. Predators could not easily bring them down. Even young sauropods, protected by their herd, were difficult targets. Herds became larger. Migration routes stretched longer. These giants needed constant movement to find enough food. Rivers became lifelines. Valleys turned into highways for seasonal travel. They walked with slow determination, their footprints carving paths into the soil. Some of these tracks remain today, fossilized in stone. They reveal not chaos, but order. A pattern of cooperation and coordination. Their skeletons tell the story of engineering brilliance. Despite their immense mass, Their bones were lightened by air sacs, their vertebrae interlocked for stability. Their legs positioned vertically like columns to support weight efficiently. These creatures were not just big, they were biomechanical marvels. As time passed, new forms evolved. In Europe, Cetiosaurus, often called the whale lizard, grew over 18 meters in length. It moved through fern-covered lowlands, likely feeding continuously to sustain its bulk. Its vertebrae showed signs of heavy muscle attachment, indicating a life of constant movement. In South America, Lesomsaurus and its relatives started pushing toward even larger sizes. The race for height and weight had begun. With size came influence. As these creatures moved, they affected everything around them. Their weight compacted soil, their feeding stripped trees, their waste fertilized entire regions. They acted like living machines, transforming their habitats just by existing. Ecosystems began to center around their presence. Smaller herbivores followed behind to eat what the giants missed. Predators evolved tactics to exploit the weak, the sick, or the young. Even plants responded. Some developed tougher leaves, others grew taller. A silent war between herbivore and vegetation shaped the very evolution of forests. In their wake, they left trails of life and rebirth. The first sauropods also influenced the skies. As trees were stripped, open clearings allowed more light to reach the forest floor. This allowed ferns, mosses, and new plant species to spread, attracting insects, mammals, and smaller dinosaurs. Sauropods were not solitary. Their survival depended on unity. They lived in herds that may have numbered in the dozens, possibly hundreds. Together, they moved as one, protecting each other through strength in numbers. And within these herds they raised their young. Nests were large and shallow, filled with dozens of eggs. Hatchlings emerged vulnerable and tiny compared to adults. They grew rapidly, relying on their herd for safety. Some may have stayed near floodplains or sheltered groves during their earliest weeks. Life for a young sauropod was filled with danger, but those that made it through the first year had a chance to become giants. The world watched as these creatures grew. Their presence was unmistakable. Their footprints measured meters across. Their necks swayed like bridges across forests. Their breathing rumbled through the trees. No predator dared to attack a full-grown sauropod without risk. Even the mightiest carnivores respected their size. Their dominance reshaped the balance of power. They taught evolution a new path, not through speed, not through armor, not through venom or claws, but through sheer mass, efficiency, and endurance. The early Jurassic giants had arrived. They would not be the largest, not yet. Greater titans would come in later chapters, but they had set the foundation. The age of sauropods had begun, and the Earth would never be the same. As the giants of the Jurassic reached new heights, nature answered with balance. Every towering sauropod, every massive herbivore needed a check. And in the shadows of these giants, a new kind of predator evolved. Smarter, faster, more tactical. They were not just hunters, they were specialists. And at the top of that evolutionary chain stood Allosaurus. Allosaurus was not the largest predator of its time. It was not the fastest or the most armored, but it was one of the most successful. Fossils of Allosaurus have been found across what is now North America and Europe, often in large numbers. Its reign lasted millions of years, and it earned its title as the apex predator of the late Jurassic. The body of Allosaurus was a blueprint of deadly design. It stood on two muscular legs, balanced by a thick tail. Its skull was long and narrow, filled with dozens of serrated teeth built not for crushing, but for slicing. Each tooth curved backward, designed to tear flesh and prevent prey from escaping once bitten. Its arms, while short, were not useless. They were powerful and tipped with 3 large claws, each capable of slashing deep into muscle and bone. Its vision was forward-facing, giving it depth perception. It could judge distances with precision. It could see its target, and it could kill it. Allosaurus was a stalker, a tracker, and in some cases, a team player. Evidence from fossil sites suggests that Allosaurus may have hunted in groups. Multiple individuals have been found around the remains of large prey, including sauropods. These groupings hint at the possibility of coordinated hunting behavior. But unlike modern pack hunters like wolves, Allosaurus may have been more opportunistic. They could have gathered around kills the way crocodiles or Komodo dragons do today. If one made the kill, others followed. Sometimes cooperating, sometimes competing. When facing prey larger than itself, Allosaurus used tactics. Its jaws were not built for bone crushing, but for quick, powerful strikes. It may have attacked repeatedly, opening wounds and weakening its target over time. It may have used its skull like a hatchet, slamming its upper jaw downward in a biting motion. Its neck muscles were thick, its jaws opened wide. Once it latched on, it could tear away flesh with a twist of its head. But it was not reckless. Allosaurus did not waste energy. It chose targets carefully. Juveniles, the injured, the old. It watched herds and looked for weakness. It could wait for hours, even days, before striking. It was patient. Its intelligence set it apart. Compared to other theropods of its time, Allosaurus had a relatively large brain. It learned, it adapted, it remembered, and in the ever-changing Jurassic world, that made it dangerous. Allosaurus lived in diverse environments: forests, river valleys, open plains. It followed its prey across vast distances. It crossed seasonal landscapes, adapted to heat and storms. Its senses were keen. It could smell blood from great distances. It could hear the movement of large herds. It knew how to use terrain to its advantage, hiding behind rocks or trees before lunging with explosive speed. Fossil evidence also shows injury and healing in Allosaurus bones, broken ribs, bitten tails, damaged skulls. This predator lived a brutal life, and yet it survived, it healed, it endured. Allosaurus was not alone in its class. Other predators, like Ceratosaurus and Torvosaurus, shared its world. They too hunted and scavenged. Some were larger, some were stronger, but none were as widespread or as dominant. Allosaurus held the crown because it was adaptable. It could take down a Stegosaurus by targeting soft areas between the plates. It could chase down small ornithopods in a sprint. It could scavenge from the dead when the hunt failed. It did not rely on a single strength, it had many. Its young were likely raised in safety, hidden in dense vegetation or high ground. Hatchlings grew quickly. Within a few years, they could hunt on their own. Within a decade, they reached full size. Every stage of its life was built for survival. Its bones were filled with air sacs, making them strong but light. Its metabolism was fast, allowing quick bursts of movement. Its claws and teeth regrew as needed. And its reputation echoed across the Jurassic. Even sauropods, giants of the time, were not immune. While an adult Brachiosaurus was nearly untouchable, a young or injured one was a target. Allosaurus watched the edges of herds, waiting for the right moment to strike. Its presence shaped behavior. Herbivores evolved thicker hides and more defensive postures. Stegosaurs developed tail spikes capable of piercing predator flesh. Small herbivores grew faster and stayed in groups for safety. Allosaurus was not just a predator, it was a sculptor of evolution. Its actions dictated the survival strategies of dozens of species. It was a constant reminder that the Jurassic world was not just a paradise, it was a battlefield. Yet for all its violence, Allosaurus was also a creature of balance. It kept populations in check. It cleaned the landscape of the weak and the dying. It made ecosystems healthier through its very nature. As the Jurassic period neared its peak, Allosaurus stood tall, not the biggest, not the fastest, but the most enduring. It was the product of millions of years of refinement, and it would leave a legacy that echoed into the Cretaceous and beyond. In a world ruled by giants, Allosaurus ruled the shadows, and the world bowed to its precision. Beneath the towering legs of giants and the thunderous roars of apex predators lies a world often overlooked, yet it is this world that sustains all others. It is a world of green, of growth, of endless cycles. This is the world of Jurassic flora. The forests of the Jurassic period are unlike anything that exists today. They are vast, dense, and richly layered. Towering conifers dominate the skyline. Trees such as Araucaria and Podocarpus stretch upward, forming thick canopies that block the sun and create shadowy underworlds beneath. These ancient trees do not flower. They reproduce using cones. Wind carries their pollen. Their branches are stiff and spiny. Their leaves are narrow, needle-like. These adaptations make them tough against grazing and fire. Beneath the conifer giants, smaller plants fill every niche. Cycads, with their stout trunks and crown of fronds, resemble modern palms. They grow slowly, but endure harsh conditions. Ginkgos, with their fan-shaped leaves, form groves in wetter regions. And on the forest floor, the true heart of the Jurassic green world, ferns dominate. Ferns are everywhere. They form vast prairies across open floodplains. They cluster along riverbanks. They cling to the edges of cliffs. With no flowers or seeds, ferns spread by releasing spores into the air. They are ancient, older than dinosaurs, older than many types of insects, and yet they remain resilient. Mosses and horsetails also play their part. They hold soil in place. They provide moisture and shelter for small creatures. They are the silent architects of microhabitats. The air is thick with humidity. Rain falls often. Clouds drift slowly over vast inland seas. Water shapes the land. Rivers meander through forested valleys. Lakes dot the lowlands. And everywhere, the green world grows. This explosion of plant life sets the stage for an herbivore boom unlike any before. As plants evolve and spread, so too do the dinosaurs that feed on them. Stegosaurs flourish in the shadows of tall trees. With small heads and simple teeth, they specialize in low browsing. Their beaks clip soft fronds. Their powerful digestive systems break down tough plant material. Their plates, once thought to be solely for protection, may also serve as solar panels. Vascularized and thin, these plates may regulate body temperature. Ornithopods begin to diversify. Small and agile, these dinosaurs are the rabbits and deer of their time. They travel in herds, nibbling on ferns and shrubs. Some species evolve complex chewing mechanisms. Their jaws move in intricate patterns. They can grind and process food more efficiently than most reptiles. Species like Dryosaurus move swiftly across open prairies. They use speed as their defense. Their eyes are large, their hearing sharp. They detect danger before it arrives. Ankylosaurs begin their early rise. Low to the ground, covered in thick scales, they graze slowly and steadily. They are tanks with stomachs built for constant feeding. Sauropods, already giants, evolve further in response to the changing flora. They specialize. Some grow even longer necks to reach the highest branches. Others adapt to low browsing, sweeping their necks in wide arcs to strip entire fields of ferns. The relationship between plants and herbivores is not passive. It is a constant exchange. As herbivores graze, plants regrow. Some develop defenses, tough leaves, bitter tastes, fibrous textures. Others thrive through sacrifice. They grow quickly and spread widely. They rely on overproduction to survive consumption. Ecosystems balance through this interaction. The impact of the herbivore boom spreads beyond the forest. Open areas become more common. As sauropods clear trees, sunlight reaches the ground. Grasses have not yet evolved, but fern prairies take their place. These prairies stretch for miles, uninterrupted fields of low vegetation. Herds of ornithopods and stegosaurs wander across them. Flocks of pterosaurs circle above. Predators stalk from the edges. Herbivores change the soil. Their droppings enrich it with nitrogen. Their movements trample seeds into the ground. Their bodies carry spores and pollen. They become agents of plant dispersal. Insects respond to this abundance. Beetles, termites, and early pollinators explode in diversity. Some feed on rotting plants. Others help recycle nutrients back into the soil. Mammals, still small and nocturnal, scurry beneath the ferns. They feed on insects and fallen fruit. They live in burrows and hollow logs. The entire food chain becomes more complex, more connected. Forests echo with life, the calls of dinosaurs, the hum of insects, the rustle of leaves. Life thrives at every level, from the canopy to the roots. Seasonal changes affect everything. Wet seasons bring floods, plants bloom, herbivores give birth. Dry seasons bring scarcity. Migrations begin, predators follow. Every organism in this world is tied to the rhythm of growth and decay. Fires occasionally sweep through, clearing old growth and renewing the soil. Some plants are fire-resistant, others rely on fire to trigger reproduction. Nothing is wasted, everything has a role. And through it all, the dominance of flora fuels the rise of dinosaurs. Without this green world, there would be no giants, no herds, no apex hunters. The Jurassic is not only a time of great beasts, it is a time of great balance. Plants build the foundation, and upon it, dinosaurs rise. Beneath the thick canopies of the Jurassic forests and along the edges of fern-covered clearings, something new is stirring, not large, not loud, but different. These creatures do not rely on brute strength or towering size. Instead, they carry a secret weapon that the giants lack. They carry feathers. In the stillness of the undergrowth, small, agile dinosaurs dart between tree roots. They are light, fast, and covered in filament-like structures, primitive feathers. These are not birds, not yet, but they are the early blueprint. For years, feathers were thought to be unique to modern birds. Today, fossil discoveries tell a deeper story, one that begins here, in the Jurassic. Feathers did not appear suddenly. They evolved slowly, likely from modified scales. Their earliest form may have served a different purpose than flight: insulation. The Jurassic world is mostly warm, but temperatures shift with elevation and season. For small dinosaurs with fast metabolisms, retaining body heat is essential. Feathers act like thermal blankets, trapping warmth and shielding skin from the elements. As feathers developed, they gained new uses. Camouflage. In forests dappled with light and shadow, patterned feathers help these dinosaurs blend in. Survival depends not only on movement, but on invisibility. Display. Bright or contrasting feathers may signal dominance, attract mates, or intimidate rivals. Even without complex colors, visual displays evolve quickly under pressure from social behaviors. Some feathered dinosaurs are solitary, others live in groups. Their communication is more advanced than many of their larger relatives. Chirps, clicks, and body movements become part of a growing social vocabulary. These early bird-like dinosaurs belong to a group called Maniraptorans. Within this lineage, more advanced forms begin to appear. Species like Anchiornis and Orornis show clear evidence of structured feathers along their arms and tails. They may not fly, but they glide. Leaping from branch to branch, their feathered limbs extend their jumps. Limbs become lighter, bones hollow, claws become sharper for climbing, eyes face forward, improving depth perception. The forests become their playground, their testing ground. They hunt insects, small reptiles, even other tiny dinosaurs. They are omnivores, taking whatever opportunity the forest offers. These adaptations are not isolated, they are part of a broader shift. Insects become faster, flyers more agile. Hunting them requires precision and speed. These feathered dinosaurs evolved to meet that challenge. Fossils from China's Liaoning province, preserved in fine ash, reveal an astonishing level of detail. They show fully feathered dinosaurs frozen in time. Some have wing-like arms, others have fans of feathers on legs and tails. They are not birds, but they are getting close. Archaeopteryx is among the most famous of these transitional forms. Discovered in Germany, it walks a line between two worlds. It has teeth and claws like a dinosaur, but feathers and flight capabilities like a bird. Its wings are not as efficient as modern birds, but it can glide, possibly flap for short bursts. Its brain is larger than other dinosaurs of its size, its eyes sharp. Archaeopteryx is not alone. It represents a moment of experimentation, evolution testing the boundaries between ground and sky. Not all feathered dinosaurs will fly. Some retain feathers for warmth or display. Others lose them entirely over time. But the path is set. Feathers have entered the evolutionary game. Their presence marks a shift not just in anatomy, but in behavior. Flight, even limited, changes everything. It opens new territories. It allows escape from predators. It grants access to new food sources. In the dense Jurassic forests, this advantage is profound. Over millions of years, these small feathered species begin to diverge. Some stay close to the ground. Others live in the treetops. A few begin to develop keeled breastbones to anchor flight muscles. They hatch from eggs with a higher rate of development. They grow faster. Their lungs change too. Instead of inflating and deflating like mammals, they develop a unidirectional system. Air moves through in one direction, delivering constant oxygen. This is the system modern birds still use. Even their reproductive strategies shift. Nests become more elaborate. Parental care becomes more pronounced. Instead of laying and leaving eggs, they protect them, warm them, defend their hatchlings. This behavioral complexity begins to surpass that of their larger relatives. It's not just biology, it's intelligence. These feathered dinosaurs are observant, quick to react. Their survival relies on agility, both physical and mental. They are the first to take to the skies. And they are also the first to exhibit the beginnings of what we call consciousness. Awareness of surroundings, coordination with others, memory, planning. They are not simply reacting to the world, they are learning from it. As the Jurassic comes to an end, these creatures remain small in number. They are not yet dominant. The giants still rule the land. But they are patient. Their evolution is not one of conquest, but of preparation. They survive where others perish. They adapt when the world changes. And when catastrophe arrives in the distant future, it will be these feathered survivors who inherit the earth. For now, they glide silently beneath the trees, feathers rustling in the wind, eyes watching, waiting for their time to come. Long before birds soared above the trees, before feathers found their full purpose, the skies of the Jurassic were already ruled by a different kind of flyer. They were not birds, they were not dinosaurs. But they were close, they were pterosaurs. Emerging in the late Triassic and evolving rapidly through the Jurassic, pterosaurs were the first vertebrates to truly conquer the air. Their arrival marked a revolutionary moment in Earth's evolutionary story. They were not clumsy gliders. They were powerful flyers, built for agility, distance, and control. Their wings were not made of feathers, but of skin and muscle stretched over an elongated fourth finger. This unique design gave them a wide range of motion and flexibility unmatched by any modern creature. Early pterosaurs were small and fragile-looking. Species like Dimorphodon had short necks, large eyes, and jaws filled with sharp teeth. They nested on cliffsides, took off from the ground or trees, and hunted for fish and insects along the coastlines. They were light-boned, with skeletons adapted for flight. Air sacs connected to their lungs extended into their bones, reducing weight and increasing oxygen efficiency. Their vision was sharp, their brains well developed, especially in regions that controlled balance and movement. They were masters of three-dimensional space. As the Jurassic progressed, pterosaurs diversified. Some species evolved longer wings and larger bodies, like Rhamphorhynchus. Its tail ended in a stiffened vein that helped it steer like a rudder. It hunted over lakes and seas, plucking fish with curved teeth and snapping jaws. Others took different paths. Aneronathids were small and round-headed, adapted for hunting insects in dense forests. They fluttered between trees like oversized bats, using sonar-like vision and delicate wings to navigate tight spaces. In open coastal regions, larger pterosaurs evolved to patrol the skies. They traveled long distances, riding air currents for hours, their wings stretched across several meters. Their bodies, though large, remained light and aerodynamic. On beaches and cliffs, colonies formed. Fossil evidence shows clusters of nests, suggesting social behavior. Parents may have cared for their young, protecting eggs from predators and shielding hatchlings from the wind. Despite their diversity, all pterosaurs shared a few key traits. Their wings were supported by a single elongated finger. Their sternums were keeled for flight muscle attachment. Their eyes were forward-facing. Their jaws, often filled with teeth, were adapted for varied diets. Some ate fish, others hunted small reptiles, a few were scavengers, and some may have filtered plankton from shallow waters. They were not dinosaurs, but they evolved alongside them, responding to the same environmental pressures. As forests grew taller and herds expanded, the skies became busier. Pterosaurs faced competition from feathered dinosaurs, but for much of the Jurassic, they remained the dominant flyers. They adapted to changing climates, shifting continents, and new predators. Their bones, delicate and light, are rarely preserved, yet the fossils we do find tell a story of remarkable evolution. Some grew crests atop their skulls, perhaps for display or flight stability. Others had toothless beaks. A few species even developed semi-quadrupedal walking styles, using their wings as front limbs when on the ground. Their launch method was unique. Unlike birds, they likely used all four limbs to propel themselves into the air, a leap and vault, not a simple run and flap. This gave them explosive takeoff power and made them efficient hunters. They ruled the skies, but they were not invincible. Storms brought them down, predators snatched them from cliffs, sea winds pushed them into rocks. But they adapted. They evolved in silence above the thunder of sauropod herds. They cast shadows on the canopies below. They watched the world from above, navigating invisible highways of wind and cloud. Their flight changed ecosystems. They spread seeds, they dispersed spores, they moved nutrients between regions, they fed on pests and helped balance insect populations. Pterosaurs were not just flyers, they were ecological engineers. And their story does not end in the Jurassic. They would go on to reach even greater sizes in the Cretaceous, becoming the largest flying animals the world would ever see. But it all began here. In the warm skies of the Jurassic, above green continents and steaming coasts, where wings first conquered the air. The age of the pterosaurs had taken flight, and for millions of years, the skies belonged to them. Beneath the crashing waves of the Jurassic world lies a realm as rich and complex as the forests above. While dinosaurs walk the land and pterosaurs glide through the sky, the oceans are ruled by a different kind of reptile. These are not fish, they are not amphibians. They are powerful marine reptiles, perfectly adapted to a life beneath the surface. The seas of the Jurassic are warm and wide. Shallow inland oceans stretch across continents. Coral reefs bloom with life. Sea levels are high. Tectonic activity reshapes coastlines. New habitats open with every rift and rising current. This aquatic world is no less brutal than the one above. Here, survival depends on speed, stealth, and adaptation. The top predators of the Jurassic seas are the ichthyosaurs. Shaped like modern dolphins but evolved from land reptiles, ichthyosaurs are fast, streamlined, and built for long pursuits. Their large eyes allow them to see in low light. Their snouts are long and filled with sharp teeth. They are not gentle, they are ambush hunters. Some species, like Ophthalmosaurus, dive deep to catch squid and soft-bodied prey. Others hunt in shallower waters, snapping at fish and crustaceans. Their flippers are stiff and powerful, perfect for high-speed chases. Their skin is smooth, their lungs efficient. They give birth to live young in the water. They never need to come ashore. Ichthyosaurs are not alone. Alongside them swim the plesiosaurs. These long-necked marine reptiles glide through the sea with graceful flippers. Their bodies are wide and barrel-shaped. Their heads are small, perched atop flexible necks that can sweep in every direction. They hunt by stealth, weaving through kelp forests and coral channels. They strike with lightning speed, catching fish and cephalopods. Their teeth interlock like needles. Once a victim is caught, there is no escape. Some species of plesiosaurs grow massive. Their necks stretch to nearly half their body length. Their flippers beat like wings, propelling them with smooth, rhythmic strokes. Other marine reptiles take a different form entirely. Pliosaurs are shorter-necked but heavily built. They are the brawlers of the deep. With massive skulls and jaws capable of crushing bone, they prey on large animals, including other marine reptiles. Species like Lipoleurodon become legends. Their jaws span meters, their teeth as long as knives. They are the apex predators of the mid-Jurassic oceans. In one bite, they can sever the spine of an ichthyosaur. Beneath them, the food chain extends in all directions. Shoals of bony fish dart through the reefs. Their scales flash in the filtered sunlight. Ammonites swirl in spiraled shells, moving by jet propulsion. They are numerous, diverse, and vital to the ecosystem. They feed on plankton, detritus, and small prey. They are preyed upon in turn. Some grow large, others remain tiny. Their shells tell stories of temperature and chemistry. Their patterns reveal the climate of the ancient oceans. Crustaceans scuttle across the seafloor. Filter feeders sweep particles from the current. Starfish, sea urchins, and sponges cling to rocks and coral. The base of it all, unseen by the naked eye, is plankton. These microscopic organisms feed everything else. They drift with the tides, photosynthesizing, multiplying, and dying in massive cycles. Their presence fuels the food chain from the bottom up. And as in all environments, death brings new life. Carcasses sink to the ocean floor. Scavengers arrive. Worms, crabs, and deep-sea fish strip bones clean. Nutrients cycle, populations balance, and the ocean remains in motion. Storms sometimes churn the surface. Underwater quakes disrupt habitats, but the life below adapts. Marine reptiles evolve rapidly. Their bodies shift with climate and prey availability. Their bones grow denser or lighter, their teeth sharper or broader. Some specialize in deep diving, others in fast striking. The competition is constant. Predators face predators, young are lost, only the fittest survive. Fossil beds like those in Germany and England preserve entire communities in ancient marine sediments. They show fish caught mid-swim, reptiles with unborn young, ammonites with bite marks from failed hunts. These frozen moments capture the drama of the Jurassic Sea. Life here is not secondary, it is primary. These creatures dominate a world without borders. They cross oceans, follow currents, migrate with the seasons. The seas connect every continent, and within them, the same rules apply as on land. Eat, escape, adapt, survive. Marine reptiles do not outlive the dinosaurs on land, but during the Jurassic, they are equals in grandeur and danger. While sauropods shake the ground and allosaurs stalk the herds, pliosaurs tear through the deep, and ichthyosaurs chase shadows in the twilight blue. The ocean is not a place of peace, it is a kingdom. And in the Jurassic, it is ruled by reptiles with teeth like blades and eyes wide enough to see the dark. They were masters of silence, ghosts in the water, and for millions of years, nothing challenged their rule. Beneath the calm forests and the endless herds, beneath the seabeds and mountain ranges, something restless stirs. The Jurassic Earth is not a stable world, it is a world in motion. Volcanoes rumble, earthquakes tear through bedrock, ash falls like snow from a sky painted red, rivers vanish in moments, entire landscapes shift overnight. For all its beauty and abundance, the Jurassic is a time of chaos. This chaos is not a flaw in the system, it is the system. Earth is still young, still reshaping itself. Its surface is a thin crust over a churning mantle, and the pressure from within is relentless. As Pangea breaks apart, the ground groans with tension, tectonic plates grind and shift, massive rift zones open, letting molten rock escape in rivers of fire. Lava flows across open plains. It incinerates everything in its path. Trees explode in steam, animals flee or perish. Yet from this destruction, new land is born. Volcanic soil, once cooled, becomes rich with minerals. Ferns and conifers return quickly, Within years, green reclaims the blackened ground. Ash clouds spread across continents. Skies darken for weeks, even months. The sun dims, temperatures drop. Plants struggle to photosynthesize, herbivores weaken, predators grow desperate. But life adapts. Not every eruption brings global catastrophe. Some are local, others are massive enough to shift climate temporarily. Fossil records show sudden die-offs in certain layers, evidence of stress, of events that reshaped ecosystems almost instantly. Earthquakes strike along fault lines. They crack ancient lake beds. They collapse cliffs. They redirect rivers. Entire herds are swallowed in sinkholes. Stampedes leave fossils of dozens of animals, frozen mid-escape. Some of the best preserved skeletons are found in areas where mudslides or floods buried creatures alive. Disaster becomes preservation. Storms roll in from vast inland seas. Warm air meets cold. Lightning ignites dry forests. Fire spreads fast across fern fields and conifer slopes. Smoke chokes the sky, but fire is not always death. Many Jurassic plants are adapted to it. Some release spores or seeds only in extreme heat. Fire clears the old, makes space for the new. Floods follow. Heavy rains swell rivers. Lowlands vanish beneath muddy waters. Nests are drowned, eggs lost. But with every flood, fresh sediment spreads. Nutrients replenish the soil. New growth follows. This is the rhythm of the Jurassic Earth. Creation, destruction, renewal. It is a cycle written into the bones of the planet. Some dinosaurs learn to move with the land. Migratory species shift routes based on volcanic activity. They avoid certain valleys during storm season. They nest in higher ground. Others are not so lucky. In some regions, entire populations disappear, wiped out not by predators, but by the planet itself. Dust layers in rock tell stories of massive volcanic winters. Carbon levels rise and fall. Oxygen dips. And yet, the resilience of life persists. Within a few thousand years, forests return, herds reform, ecosystems rebuild. This is not extinction, this is transformation. The Earth is carving its identity. Every mountain range that rises from lava becomes a future home. Every earthquake that shifts a river births a new delta, rich in life. And the animals that survive are not random. They are the most flexible, the most alert. They learn quickly. They evolve with their environment, not against it. The chaos becomes part of their story. Volcanoes also create rare moments of preservation. Ashfalls bury entire regions, freezing life in its final moments. In some fossil beds, delicate details remain intact: skin impressions, feathers, nest positions. We can see how dinosaurs lived because they died suddenly, in the grip of natural disaster. Without these moments, much of what we know would be lost. The Jurassic world is beautiful, but its beauty is shaped by fire and pressure. From the red glow of lava at night to the thunder of distant eruptions, life marches forward not in spite of the chaos, but because of it. It is not a peaceful world. It is a world alive with fury and rebirth. And every creature that calls it home must learn to adapt or vanish. As the Jurassic period reaches its later stages, the world has become a complex mosaic of ecosystems: vast forests, fern prairies, deserts, and volcanic ranges stretch across the drifting continents. The land is alive with the sounds of thunderous footsteps, calls of distant herds, and the rustle of wings overhead. Yet this world is not static, it moves, and so do its rulers. Dinosaurs, once confined to specific regions, now begin to migrate across expanding territories. Their movements are not random. They are guided by the rhythms of the planet. Seasons shift, rains come and go, volcanoes shape new valleys, sea levels rise and fall, and with each change, dinosaurs adapt by moving. Some of the first large-scale migrations occur among the sauropods. Species like Diplodocus and Apatosaurus do not stay in one place. Their massive appetites require constant feeding. Once an area is grazed clean, the herd moves on, and they do not move alone. Young travel with adults. Smaller herbivores follow in their wake, feeding on leftover vegetation. Scavengers trail behind, waiting for the sick or injured to fall. Migration becomes a mobile ecosystem. Footprints in fossilized mud reveal long columns of dinosaurs moving in unison. Thousands of impressions stretch across ancient floodplains. They move from lowlands to highlands, following the growth of ferns and conifers. They seek water sources during dry seasons. They escape floods by climbing ridges and plateaus. Ornithopods, smaller and faster, also migrate. Species like Camptosaurus travel in herds, likely covering vast distances in search of food and safety. Their movements may be seasonal, tied to nesting cycles or climatic changes. Predators follow. Allosaurus and its kin track the paths of herbivore herds. They watch from the trees, wait along river crossings, and hunt the weakest members of the group. Even stegosaurs move in patterns. Their fossils appear across wide regions, suggesting they too traveled in search of favorable environments. Migration is not just survival, it is evolution in motion. As dinosaurs spread, they encounter new environments. Deserts, mountains, coastlines, and forests each offer different challenges. Those that survive pass on traits suited for those regions. In Africa, long-necked herbivores evolve different proportions than those in Europe. In North America, predatory dinosaurs become larger and more robust. In island regions, species shrink in size due to limited resources. Continental drift plays a key role. As Pangea continues to break apart, populations become isolated. Dinosaurs, once part of the same species, diverge. Over millions of years, they evolve into entirely new forms. But migration continues even across these changes. Land bridges form during low sea levels. Herds cross from one continent to another. Some species spread across multiple regions, leaving fossil evidence across distant parts of the globe. Paleontologists find similar species in North America and Europe, suggesting there were still pathways of connection during the late Jurassic. Even pterosaurs join the migration. Capable of flying great distances, they travel between coastlines, following fish populations and nesting grounds. In the skies, their shadows stretch across every continent. In the seas, marine reptiles migrate as well. Ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs follow currents and temperatures, diving and swimming across ancient oceans. They give birth far from where they were born, creating global lineages that span generations. The global spread of dinosaur species also changes the landscape. Herds break trails through forests. Repeated migrations flatten grasslands into highways. Riverbanks erode under the weight of constant crossings. Plants evolve in response. Some develop tougher stems to resist constant grazing. Others grow faster to keep up with demand. Insects and small animals travel with the herds. Seeds are carried in dung or stuck to limbs. Ecosystems spread through movement. And with every generation, the memory of these routes is passed down. Some scientists believe that dinosaurs may have followed ancient paths similar to modern migrations. The knowledge of water sources, nesting grounds, and safe havens may have been encoded in behavior. This instinct allowed survival in times of drought, disaster, and change. And it created a world in motion. The late Jurassic is not a still life. It is a living, breathing planet of wanderers. A planet where giants roam from one edge of a continent to another. Where the sky is crossed by wings that remember the shape of coastlines. Where oceans hold paths followed by generations of predators. In this world, migration is not just movement. It is the story of survival written in footsteps. It is the heartbeat of the dinosaur era, and it echoes across every corner of the Earth. As the Jurassic period draws to a close, the world begins to change once more. It is not an ending marked by cataclysm, but by transition. Slow, steady, deep. Continents continue their drift apart, pulling the Earth into new shapes. Rifting zones widen. Shallow seas creep farther inland. New mountain ranges rise. The world feels familiar, yet beneath the surface, everything is shifting. This is the threshold of the Cretaceous period. And though the age of dinosaurs continues, their stage is being rebuilt. Climates cool slightly in some areas and become more humid in others. Volcanic activity still pulses beneath the surface, but it no longer dominates the landscape like it once did. This new world brings new opportunities and new pressures. Vegetation begins to evolve. While conifers, cycads, and ferns still dominate, the first flowering plants begin to appear. Primitive angiosperms, small, unassuming, yet revolutionary. These early flowers do not yet cover the land, but they represent a silent change in how plants will soon reproduce. They attract new kinds of insects, and those insects attract new kinds of hunters. This is the beginning of a new ecological balance. Insects become more specialized. Beetles, flies, and wasp-like creatures diversify rapidly. Their interactions with flowers speed up the evolution of both groups. On the forest floors and in the treetops, feathered dinosaurs grow more diverse. Some glide, others perch. Their feathers grow more elaborate, more structured. They are still small, still hiding in the shadows, but evolution is preparing them for something greater. In the larger ecosystems, the dominant species also begin to change. Many of the familiar giants of the Jurassic begin to disappear. Species like Diplodocus and Stegosaurus vanish from the fossil record. They are replaced by new sauropods with different proportions and more advanced skeletal structures. Titanosaurs begin to emerge in the southern continents. Their bodies are even more massive, their limbs stronger, their armor more defined. In the north, ankylosaurs evolve thicker armor and heavier tails. They prepare for a new generation of predators. Theropods diversify rapidly. Some become smaller and more bird-like. Others, like the ancestors of tyrannosaurs, begin to grow larger. Their skulls become broader, their bite force increases, their hunting strategies shift. Ecosystems shift in their complexity. Wetlands grow along the edges of inland seas. Mangrove-like forests and swampy deltas become the new centers of diversity. Coastal zones become more productive. Marine reptiles like mosasaurs begin to appear. The oceans change too. Ichthyosaurs decline. Many disappear altogether. Plesiosaurs continue but evolve into new forms. Fish diversify. Sharks increase in number. The ocean food web is reborn. The skies are reshaped. Pterosaurs split into distinct lineages. Some grow smaller, adapting to forest life. Others grow larger, preparing for the vast open skies of the late Cretaceous. Some species develop elaborate head crests, others lose their teeth entirely. They soar across continents, linking the world through flight. This period of transition is not violent, it is not sudden. It is a long, quiet reshaping of life's blueprint. The Cretaceous period begins not with extinction, but with evolution. Species adapt or vanish. The Jurassic world fades not into fire, but into growth. The dominance of dinosaurs remains, but their faces begin to change. New forms walk the land. New flowers bloom. New insects buzz through the air. And in the stillness of twilight, a small feathered creature perches on a branch, tilting its head toward the sound of moving water. Its ancestors walked the earth. Its descendants will one day rule the sky. The world turns slowly. And the age of dinosaur domination continues on a new and shifting stage. The Cretaceous period begins under a greenhouse sky. Warmth spreads across the globe. No polar ice caps exist. From equator to poles, lush vegetation thrives. Shallow seas invade the continents. Humidity hangs in the air like a blanket. It is a world built for life. But beneath its green exterior, the climate is not at peace. It is shifting, slowly, steadily, toward instability. Volcanic activity continues in cycles. Mountain ranges rise in new regions. Sea levels fluctuate. Vast inland seas form, such as the Western Interior Seaway, which splits North America in half. Oceans become climate engines. They absorb heat, transport moisture, and control global temperatures. At the start of the Cretaceous, this balance supports an explosion of biodiversity. Titanosaurs roam the southern continents, feeding on towering conifers. Armored ankylosaurs sweep low for ferns. Hadrosaurs evolved to take advantage of newer plant species, including the spread of early flowering plants. Forests thicken, rivers deepen, insects multiply in waves. The atmosphere is rich in carbon dioxide. Global temperatures are high. In some regions, it is tropical year-round. In others, mild seasons develop. But the balance begins to tip. As continents drift farther apart, ocean currents change. Some regions become wetter, others dry out. Volcanic provinces, such as the one in present-day India, pump carbon and sulfur into the sky. This alters the chemistry of the atmosphere. Acid rain falls in bursts. Temperatures swing. Massive wildfires sweep through dry regions. Soot blocks sunlight. These events are not constant, but they are frequent enough to disrupt ecosystems. Animals begin to adapt to this volatility. Migratory patterns shift. Dinosaurs develop new nesting strategies. Species that once thrived in stable conditions now face competition and stress. Some adapt, others disappear. Pollen records and leaf fossils show changes in vegetation. Plant diversity increases, but so does regional specialization. In some areas, flowering plants overtake conifers. This changes herbivore diets. Hadrosaurs with complex dental batteries become dominant. They can process tougher, more fibrous material. Their ability to grind, chew, and digest makes them one of the most successful herbivore groups of the Cretaceous. They fill forests and plains. Their footprints dominate fossil beds. Their herds reshape landscapes. Predators evolve to match them. Tyrannosaurs rise in the north, abelisaurs in the south. Their hunting styles diverge. Their skulls become stronger, their teeth more specialized. The arms race continues. But it plays out in a world growing less stable, with each passing million years. Oxygen levels fluctuate. Some regions experience drops in atmospheric oxygen, forcing animals to adapt in lung efficiency and energy conservation. Sea temperatures rise, coral reefs bleach, marine life struggles to adapt. Inland seas trap heat, turning once fertile areas into seasonal furnaces. Rain patterns grow unpredictable. Droughts become longer. Floods become more violent. Ecosystems stretch thin. And yet life pushes forward. Evidence suggests some dinosaurs grow faster. Faster growth means faster reproduction, an advantage in a changing world. Even eggs adapt. Some dinosaurs lay in clusters. Others bury eggs deeper. Some use heat from decaying vegetation or geothermal energy to incubate. As the Cretaceous nears its middle phase, the greenhouse world begins to wobble. And the creatures of Earth evolve in response. Smaller, more versatile species begin to dominate. The giants still rule, but their reign is no longer absolute. Diversity becomes the survival strategy. This is a time of invention, of change under pressure, of beauty in the face of unpredictability. The skies grow darker in some regions, the air thinner in others, but dinosaurs remain. Walking through fire-scorched valleys, nesting in flood-shaped forests, flying above unstable coastlines. They are no longer just rulers of a stable paradise. They are survivors of a shifting planet. And the world they walk is no longer the same as it was before. As the Cretaceous period matures, the Earth witnesses the arrival of some of the most iconic dinosaurs to ever walk the planet. These are not the giants of old, not the towering sauropods of the Jurassic. These are new forms, highly specialized, superbly adapted, and evolved for survival in a world that is no longer predictable. This is the age of innovation, and with it comes the rise of the horned, the duck-billed, and the armored. Across the northern continents, a new group begins to dominate the landscape. They are the ceratopsians, horned dinosaurs. Among them, one name echoes louder than the rest: Triceratops. But before Triceratops claims the late Cretaceous, its ancestors spread and diversify. From small bipedal creatures like Psittacosaurus to the larger, frilled Protoceratops, these dinosaurs begin to experiment with horns, crests, and bone ornamentation. Their jaws are strong, shaped into beaks that shear through tough vegetation. Their teeth are packed tightly into dental batteries, perfect for grinding. They chew far more efficiently than any reptile before them. The crest at the back of their skull becomes larger with time. It serves many possible purposes: defense, display, species recognition. Their bodies grow stockier, their limbs strengthen. They become quadrupeds, walking on all fours with heavy, muscular builds. As the Cretaceous progresses, this lineage gives rise to Chasmosaurus, Centrosaurus, and finally, the mighty Triceratops. Triceratops walks with the authority of a tank. Its skull alone can span 2.5 meters. 3 horns jut forward from its face, 2 above the eyes, 1 on the nose. Behind them, a massive frill arches back to shield its neck. It is a grazer, moving slowly through forests and open plains, feeding on low-growing plants, roots, and shrubs. It is not a predator, but it is not defenseless. Fossil evidence shows healed wounds on its horns, puncture marks on frills. It may have battled both rivals and predators. Herds of Triceratops likely moved in groups, their young protected in the center, their horns flashing like warning signs to any who dared approach. Not far from these horned dinosaurs roam the hadrosaurs. They are the duck-billed dinosaurs, known for their complex skull shapes and incredible chewing capabilities. Species like Edmontosaurus and Parasaurolophus dominate the floodplains and coastal forests. They are tall, fast, and social. They move in large groups, communicating through deep, resonant calls. Their hollow crests may function like sound chambers, each species with its own unique tone. Some have elaborate frills or long tubes, others have flattened skulls with ridges. Hadrosaurs are grazers. Their teeth are arranged in hundreds of tightly packed rows. As teeth wear down, new ones grow in from below. They can eat a wide variety of plant material: conifers, ferns, flowering plants. They are among the most efficient herbivores of their time. They migrate in herds, following seasonal growth. Fossilized nesting grounds suggest communal care. Young are raised together. Some may stay with their parents for months after hatching. This group becomes one of the most successful in Cretaceous history. Their fossils are found across every major northern landmass. And they are not alone. Alongside them moves a different kind of herbivore, low to the ground, heavily armored, slow but nearly indestructible. These are the ankylosaurs. With broad bodies, wide skulls, and backs covered in bony plates, ankylosaurs are the tanks of the dinosaur world. They carry protection in every direction. Their heads are shielded by thick skulls, their necks protected by rings of bone. Their tails end in massive clubs of solid bone, capable of delivering devastating blows. Ankylosaurus is the most famous of the group. It grows over 8 meters long. It moves close to the ground, feeding on low shrubs and plants. Its senses are sharp. It detects danger through vibration and scent. And when threatened, it does not run. It swings its tail with enough force to shatter the leg bones of an attacking predator. Even tyrannosaurs are cautious when facing this living fortress. These 3 groups, ceratopsians, hadrosaurs, and ankylosaurs, represent the new face of Cretaceous herbivores. They do not rely on size alone. They use intelligence, armor, and social behavior. They build herds. They protect their young. They shape the land through movement and feeding. As forests become thicker and flowering plants expand, these dinosaurs evolve to match the changing world. They become faster, more alert, more complex in their behaviors, and they pave the way for the final act of the age of dinosaurs. While sauropods still roam in the southern continents and isolated regions, it is these new species that define the landscape of the late Cretaceous in the north. They are the last great experiment of herbivorous evolution, and they are the ones who will face the final moments of this ancient world. As the Cretaceous period marches toward its end, evolution delivers one final masterpiece. It is not the largest creature of its time nor the fastest, but it is one of the most feared, the most iconic, and perhaps the most efficient land predator that has ever lived. It is Tyrannosaurus Rex. But long before it takes the throne, its ancestors rise quietly, evolving in the background while other predators dominate the spotlight. The early relatives of Tyrannosaurus are small and fast, agile hunters with long legs and sharp teeth. These early tyrannosaurids, like Dilong and Guanlong, appear in Asia. They are feathered, they hunt small prey, they are not yet kings. But evolution is patient. Over millions of years, the lineage spreads westward, growing in size, strength, and intelligence. As other predator groups decline, like the allosaurs and carcharodontosaurs, the tyrannosaurs step into the void. In North America, one branch becomes something else entirely. It becomes a force of nature. Tyrannosaurus Rex stands over 12 meters long. It weighs more than 7 tons. Its skull alone can exceed 1.5 meters in length. Its teeth are not like blades. They are like railroad spikes, thick, heavy, and ridged. They are not designed to slice, they are built to crush. No other land predator has a bite force that compares. It could crush bone with a single bite. It could shatter the spine of its prey in one devastating strike. Its jaws open wide, powered by massive neck muscles. Its vision is binocular. It sees depth. It calculates distance. It is not a mindless brute. It is a thinking, sensing, calculating killer. Despite its massive head, its brain is large, especially in areas dedicated to smell and sight. It can track prey over kilometers. It can detect carcasses buried in forest undergrowth. Its hearing is tuned to low-frequency sounds. It senses the footsteps of herbivores from far away. Its body is balanced by a thick, muscular tail. Its legs are powerful, not for sprinting, but for sudden bursts of speed. Its small arms, often mocked, are not useless. They are thickly muscled, capable of lifting hundreds of pounds. They may have helped during mating, feeding, or rising from the ground. Everything about Tyrannosaurus is purposeful. Its skin is pebbled with rough scales. Some scientists believe it may have had sparse feathers in its youth. It grows quickly, from hatchling to adult in less than 20 years. It dominates the late Cretaceous ecosystems of North America. Its prey includes hadrosaurs, ceratopsians, and possibly juvenile sauropods in isolated regions. Triceratops is its greatest rival. Fossil evidence shows healed bite marks on frills, broken horns, crushed ribs. These battles were real. They were violent. They were a clash between nature's most advanced designs in herbivore defense and carnivore offense. But Tyrannosaurus does not rely on brute strength alone. It uses strategy. It may ambush. It may scavenge. It may intimidate rivals with vocalizations or visual displays. Its territory is vast. Its reign is undisputed. But it is not the only predator of its time. In the southern continents, abelisaurs like Carnotaurus develop their own deadly tactics. They are smaller, faster, built for speed and striking force. In Asia, Tarbosaurus, a close cousin of Tyrannosaurus, becomes the top predator. These creatures all share a similar blueprint. Reduced arms, massive jaws, forward-facing eyes. They are the final generation of large theropods, refined by pressure, perfected by evolution, and soon to be gone. In the world of Tyrannosaurus Rex, nothing is safe. It walks with confidence. Its presence reshapes ecosystems. Herds move differently, nesting sites shift, scavengers follow it like shadows. And when it roars, the forest holds its breath. This is no myth. This is a real animal. The culmination of over 100 million years of predator evolution. The king of the Cretaceous, a symbol of raw power, survival, and finality. And though its reign will be short in the grand scale of time, it will echo forever in the fossil record. For decades, dinosaurs were seen as little more than lumbering lizards, slow, dull, driven by instinct alone, but fossil by fossil, bone by bone, that image has crumbled. Because behind those powerful jaws and massive bodies was something unexpected intelligence. It did not come from a single species. It emerged across many groups. Small predators, pack hunters, even some herbivores began to show signs of complex behavior. Their brains, once thought primitive, reveal adaptations for memory, coordination, and sensory processing. One of the clearest indicators of dinosaur intelligence is found in the group known as the Maniraptorans. These feathered theropods include dromaeosaurs, relatives of the velociraptor. They are not large, but their skulls reveal enlarged brain cavities. They have forward-facing eyes, giving them depth perception. They have grasping hands, flexible limbs, and strong legs. And perhaps most importantly, they show signs of coordination. In fossil sites across Mongolia and China, multiple individuals are found together. Some appear to have died in the middle of a hunt, others are buried alongside prey. Were they pack hunters? Many scientists believe so. They may have used strategy, flanking movements, ambushes. And like birds today, they may have communicated using chirps, clicks, body posture, or even color displays. Their feathers, beyond providing insulation or lift, could have played roles in social behavior. Mating, intimidation, warning signals. And their brains were ready to handle it. But intelligence did not stop with predators. Some herbivores show signs of advanced behavior as well. Hadrosaurs, with their complex crests and vocal chambers, likely used sound to communicate over long distances. They traveled in massive herds, sometimes hundreds strong. Tracks show that young moved in the center, protected by adults. Some fossilized nesting sites reveal large communal areas, with evidence of multiple generations returning year after year. This suggests memory, social bonding, and even the possibility of parental care. Eggs are arranged carefully. Some nests show signs of being tended after hatching, and the young grow rapidly, staying close to the herd. Ceratopsians like Triceratops may have also formed tight herds. Their frills and horns were not just weapons, they were likely visual tools. Individuals could recognize each other by shape, size, and pattern. Fossil injuries suggest head-to-head combat, not just for defense, but for dominance and mating rights. Ankylosaurs, though solitary in appearance, show clear signs of defensive intelligence. They positioned themselves to shield their vulnerable parts. They used tail clubs precisely. Some had directional hearing to locate predators. And even the mighty Tyrannosaurus Rex shows more than brute force. Its olfactory lobes, the part of the brain responsible for smell, are massive. It could track prey over vast distances. Its eyes face forward, giving it keen sight. And its inner ear structure suggests it could hear deep frequencies perfect for detecting distant footsteps or vocalizations. Juvenile tyrannosaurs may have traveled in groups. Some fossils show individuals of similar age found together, suggesting cooperation or social bonding. In the oceans, marine reptiles developed advanced navigation. Their brains evolved to process pressure changes, magnetic fields, and water currents. Pterosaurs, too, show neurological structures that support balance, precision flight, and even aerial hunting strategies. But perhaps the greatest proof of dinosaur intelligence is not in a fossil. It is in their legacy. Birds. Modern birds are direct descendants of small theropod dinosaurs. And birds are among the most intelligent creatures on Earth today. They solve puzzles, they use tools, they recognize faces, they sing, mimic, and build. If birds come from dinosaurs, and if birds are this intelligent, then the roots of that intelligence run deep. Deinonychus, Troodon, Oviraptor, these were not brutes, they were thinkers. Some scientists believe Troodon may have been one of the smartest non-avian dinosaurs. It had a large brain-to-body ratio, keen senses, nimble fingers. Had it survived the extinction, its descendants might have become something even more advanced. But intelligence is not always about evolution toward humans. In dinosaurs, intelligence was survival, remembering migration paths, knowing when to nest, recognizing danger, coordinating in groups, passing on knowledge through behavior. This was not a world of chaos, it was a world of order, built and maintained by creatures who thought, who learned, who adapted. They may not have built tools, but they built herds, territories, family bonds. They knew their world, and they ruled it not just with strength, but with skill. As the Cretaceous skies widen with shifting winds and warming air, a new era of flight begins. The skies are no longer ruled by early gliders or primitive flyers. Now, evolution sharpens its focus. Pterosaurs transform, birds begin to rise. The competition above becomes just as intense as the battles on land and beneath the sea. The rulers of the Jurassic skies were already impressive, but what emerges in the Cretaceous is something more refined, more efficient. Sky rulers too. Pterosaurs diversify into dozens of species, each perfectly adapted for a specific niche. Some grow massive, others shrink. Their forms stretch across a spectrum of ecological roles. At one extreme, the giants emerge. Quetzalcoatlus, although appearing in the late Cretaceous, represents the peak of pterosaur evolution. It stands taller than a giraffe. Its wingspan rivals a small airplane. Yet it is light, hollow, boned, a master of the sky. It launches from the ground using all four limbs in a powerful vault, then catches thermal currents to soar for hours. It does not flap continuously, it glides. Some believe it traveled hundreds of kilometers a day, searching for carrion or small animals along coastlines. But not all pterosaurs reach such sizes. Many remain small and agile, darting through forests or skimming lake surfaces. Species like Pteranodon lose their teeth and develop long beaks for catching fish. They dive, they glide, they nest in colonies on cliffsides. Others evolve complex crests. Tupandactylus and Nyctosaurus display bright, exaggerated head structures. Their function may include species recognition, mating displays, or aerodynamic balance. These crests vary wildly, some thin and sail-like, others broad and flat like a fan. These creatures push the limits of flight design. And while they dominate the skies, a challenger is quietly rising from below. Birds. True birds. Descendants of small theropod dinosaurs, these creatures are no longer just gliders or feathered ground runners. They are now flyers. Archaeopteryx, from the late Jurassic, was a prototype. But in the Cretaceous, its descendants become more capable. Enantiornithines spread across the globe. They still have claws on their wings and teeth in their beaks, but their flight is true and sustained. Some nest in trees, others near water. They fly through forests, over rivers, from one continent to another. Alongside them, ornithuromorphs begin to appear, the ancestors of modern birds. They evolve shorter tails, more efficient lungs, stronger pectoral muscles. Their bones grow lighter, their feathers more complex. They begin to specialize. Some dive like modern cormorants. Others skim water surfaces like terns. Some pick insects off the backs of herbivores. Their brains grow, their senses sharpen. They are not simply surviving, they are thriving. And the sky becomes a crowded, competitive space. Pterosaurs and birds now share the same air, but their strategies differ. Pterosaurs dominate open spaces. Their wings are vast. They ride thermals and sweep along coasts. Birds are more maneuverable. They dart through dense vegetation. They turn tighter. They land with more control. In time, birds begin to occupy niches pterosaurs once held, especially the smaller roles. Insect hunters, seed eaters, scavengers. The competition intensifies. And as the Cretaceous advances, the number of small pterosaur species begins to decline. Some go extinct. Others evolve toward gigantism, away from the pressure of bird competition. But birds continue to diversify. They become songbirds, shorebirds, forest birds. They begin to dominate in number. Still, the sky remains balanced. The great soaring pterosaurs rule the heights. The agile birds claim the undergrowth and canopies. Both groups evolve egg care, nesting strategies, and parental behavior. Some even begin to show territorial defense and group feeding. Flight has transformed more than anatomy. It has shaped intelligence, awareness, memory. The sky has become a realm of strategy. And these creatures, both bird and pterosaur, are its champions. From cliffs to coastlines, from treetops to thermal updrafts, the air is no longer empty. It is filled with wings, with calls, with motion. The dinosaurs that took to the sky did not just adapt, they excelled. And some of them, the birds, will outlive all others. When the last of the great beasts fall, they will remain. Because long before mammals rise, and long before humans dream of flight, the sky already belonged to dinosaurs. For over 100 million years, Earth's plant life had remained mostly the same. Towering conifers, low-growing ferns, rigid cycads, and ginkgos ruled the prehistoric forests. They were ancient, hardy, and well-suited to the needs of herbivorous dinosaurs. But in the heart of the Cretaceous period, the green world quietly rewrites itself. Something delicate, colorful, and revolutionary begins to bloom. Flowering plants, angiosperms, make their debut. They arrive without fanfare. Tiny flowers nestled among shrubs, blossoms hidden beneath tree branches, not towering like conifers, but swift, adaptive, and eager to change the landscape. Their appearance is one of the most important biological events in Earth's history. Before flowers, most plants used the wind to spread pollen. It was wasteful. It was random. But angiosperms attract partners. They form relationships with insects, birds, and even some small reptiles. Their pollen is not cast to the wind, it is delivered. Bees and beetles land on bright petals, seeking nectar. As they feed, they carry pollen from one flower to another. This partnership changes both plant and insect forever. Diversity explodes. New plant forms appear in rapid succession: broad leaves, curled petals, branching veins. Grasses begin to emerge, shrubs spread quickly, even trees adapt, producing fruits to house seeds. The Cretaceous world becomes more colorful, more fragrant, more alive. Dinosaurs respond. Hadrosaurs shift their diets. They graze not only on ferns and conifers, but also on these new plants. Their complex teeth allow them to process softer, nutrient-rich vegetation. They follow the bloom cycles, moving with the seasons, grazing where angiosperms are most abundant. Small herbivores evolve sharper snouts and more precise bites. They nip flowers and leaves with accuracy. Even omnivorous species begin to incorporate seeds and fruits into their diets. This plant revolution ripples upward through the entire food chain. Pollinators thrive. Beetles diversify. Early ants form colonies near flowering plants. Wasps become more specialized. Birds join the dance, pecking seeds and nectar. Flowering plants create pockets of life wherever they spread. They colonize disturbed areas, quickly valleys after landslides, riverbanks after floods, volcanic slopes after eruptions. They are fast growers, opportunistic, and in a world where climate is unstable, speed is survival. Forests shift in structure. Tall conifers remain, but beneath them, flowering plants form new undergrowth layers. The floor becomes dense, rich in variation. Entire ecosystems reassemble around angiosperms. Herds move differently. Predators follow these herds. Smaller animals nest in flowering shrubs. Seeds spread through droppings, wind, and water. Many develop tough coatings that require digestion to germinate. It is an evolutionary partnership. Plants feed animals. Animals carry seeds. Both survive, both expand. This relationship changes the tempo of evolution. Flowering plants evolve quickly. New species appear in short spans of time. They test new shapes, colors, structures. Some mimic each other. Some repel grazers with toxins. Others lure them in with sweet fruit. They adapt to altitude, latitude, soil, drought. This diversity offers stability in an unstable world. If one plant fails, another fills its place. The food web grows denser. Energy moves faster through ecosystems. Flowering plants rewrite the rules of reproduction, survival, and ecological interaction. They are quiet architects of the late Cretaceous world, and their legacy will outlast the dinosaurs. After the Great Extinction, it is angiosperms that rebuild the planet's green skin. It is their seeds that germinate first, their leaves that feed the first returning herbivores. But before that day comes, they fill the Cretaceous with color and complexity. They transform the scenery from simple greens to living tapestries. They feed giants and insects alike. They build the future of every forest, every meadow, every plain. And they do it without fang or claw. Just petals, pollen, and patience. For millions of years, mammals lived small, quiet lives in the shadows of giants. They scurried beneath ferns, burrowed into the soil, and hunted by moonlight. The dinosaurs ruled the daylight, the open plains, the treetops, and the skies. But in the quiet corners of the Cretaceous world, something else was evolving. Something warm-blooded, something fast, something aware. Mammals were not newcomers. Their origins trace back to the late Triassic, emerging from the lineage of synapsids. But for most of the Mesozoic era, they remained hidden. Not because they were weak, but because they were patient. These early mammals were small, often the size of mice, rats, or squirrels. They lived in burrows, climbed trees, and fed on insects, seeds, and small prey. Their survival depended on avoiding attention. Their bones were delicate. Their teeth were specialized molars capable of grinding, canines for piercing. They were not just generic feeders, they were efficient, targeted consumers. They were active at night. Their senses sharpened hearing, smell, and touch. Many species developed whiskers, fur, and acute night vision. Some could glide between trees using skin membranes. Others evolved webbed feet for swimming. The diversity of mammals slowly increased. In the Cretaceous, this quiet ascent began to accelerate. Marsupials and placentals began to emerge. Marsupials gave birth to tiny young, which crawled into pouches to continue development. Placentals developed a more complex reproductive system, allowing longer gestation within the womb. Both systems had their strengths, both allowed flexibility, and both led to longer survival. These mammals began to appear in greater numbers across every continent. Asia, North America, and Europe reveal fossil beds filled with tiny jaws, teeth, and skeletons. They lived in trees, dug into cliffs, nested under stones. Some were insectivores. Others were omnivores. A few were tiny predators, snapping at lizards, baby dinosaurs, and even bird eggs. They were resourceful. They were not dominant, but they were everywhere. The pressure of coexisting with dinosaurs shaped them. They learned to hide, to climb fast, to detect vibration and scent with precision, to raise young quietly and defend nests with ferocity. They had warm blood, fur, and a fast metabolism. They burned energy quickly, but they could also adapt to cold better than reptiles. This gave them an edge in cooler regions and during periods of climate instability. Some species hibernated, others stored food. They were preparing not for takeover, but for survival. Because mammals did not rise by conquest. They rose by enduring. They outlasted disasters. They learned from failure. And they evolved to fill gaps when other creatures fell. Even as tyrannosaurs hunted and hadrosaurs grazed, mammals watched. And when the lights of the Mesozoic dimmed, they would be the ones to remain. But that moment had not yet come. For now, they thrived in the margins, building nests in the roots of trees, chattering beneath the songs of crested birds, creeping silently while armored giants shook the earth. The competition had begun, not for dominance, but for persistence. And mammals were ready. They would never forget the world ruled by dinosaurs, because their rise was forged in its shadow. Dinosaurs did not just survive in fertile valleys or tropical forests. They conquered deserts, mountains, swamps, volcanic plains, and even polar regions. Their reign was not the result of a single success. It was their ability to adapt to Earth's most challenging environments that secured their place in history. From the frozen edges of ancient continents to the scorching interiors of deserts, dinosaurs found ways to thrive. In the Cretaceous polar regions, conditions were far colder and darker than most would expect in the age of dinosaurs. Yet fossils of herbivorous dinosaurs have been discovered in places like modern-day Alaska and Antarctica. Hadrosaurs and theropods lived there, surviving months of darkness during polar winters. How did they do it? These dinosaurs may have migrated, moving south during the coldest months. Others may have remained, adapting to lower light levels, slower metabolisms, and increased insulation. Many paleontologists believe some species possessed feathers not just for display, but for warmth. Large eyes in certain species suggest adaptation to dim environments. Dinosaurs in these regions did not hibernate like mammals, but they were resilient. They fed on hardy plants, mosses, and conifer needles. They moved in herds, sharing body heat and protecting young. On the other end of the spectrum, desert-dwelling dinosaurs faced an entirely different challenge: heat, thirst, and exposure. In regions like what is now Mongolia, dinosaurs lived in ancient deserts. Sandstorms raged, water was scarce. Oviraptors, small, fast, and clever, made their nests in dry, open dunes. They laid eggs in circular patterns, carefully buried to shield them from heat. Some covered their nests with their own bodies, wings stretched like blankets over the next generation. These creatures adapted, not through size, but through intelligence and parenting. They fed on anything: lizards, eggs, plants. They were opportunists. And they survived by moving quickly, staying hidden, and using the landscape to their advantage. Larger dinosaurs adapted too. Therizinosaurs evolved long claws and beaked jaws for stripping vegetation. They fed high and low, browsing tough desert shrubs and trees. Their bodies were built for energy efficiency. In mountain regions, dinosaurs adjusted again. Altitude brought thinner air, colder nights, and rough terrain. Many small dinosaurs evolved lighter skeletons and more flexible joints. Climbers emerged species that could scramble over rocks and scale narrow ledges. Their tails acted as counterbalances, their toes spread wide for traction. In floodplains and swamps, dinosaurs developed water tolerance. Some had flat feet for moving across muddy terrain. Others had nostrils positioned high on their heads, allowing them to breathe while partially submerged. Tracks in ancient deltas show herds moving slowly through ankle-deep water, dragging tails and wading toward feeding grounds. Predators adapted too. Spinosaurus, with its elongated snout, conical teeth, and paddle-like tail, lived near rivers and deltas. It hunted fish. Its long claws could grasp slippery prey. Its dense bones helped it stay submerged. It was not just a swimmer, it was a specialist. Other carnivores adapted to thick forests. They grew shorter, more compact. They stalked rather than chased. Camouflage became key. Muted colors, feather patterns, and silent movement allowed them to close in on prey without a sound. Herbivores responded by forming tighter herds. They developed sharper hearing and stronger social bonds. Alarm calls echoed through the trees. Even their nesting sites changed with the environment. In exposed regions, they nested in groups. In hidden valleys, they nested in isolation, using dense vegetation as protection. Dinosaur eggs evolved to match their settings. Some had thick shells for dry climates, others were thin and porous for humid forests. Even their shapes shifted round: oval, spiral, each design suited to specific conditions. This flexibility extended to their feeding strategies. Dinosaurs evolved jaws for grinding, cropping, tearing, and slicing. Some had cheeks to hold food while chewing, others had beaks for precision. They were not limited to one type of food or one way of living. They adjusted to what their world demanded. And when that world changed, they changed with it. From snowfields to salt flats, from windswept cliffs to tropical coasts, dinosaurs did not just endure, they expanded. They became desert walkers, ice bravers, floodplain grazers, and canyon stalkers. Their adaptability was their weapon. And it is one reason they lasted so long. More than 160 million years. Generation after generation, environment after environment, they never stopped finding new ways to live. The planet threw everything at them: droughts, volcanoes, floods, cold, heat, darkness. And they met every challenge with evolution. They were not just creatures of the past. They were champions of resilience. As the Cretaceous period nears its final chapters, the world of dinosaurs reaches its greatest complexity. Never before in the history of the Earth has life been so diverse, so widespread, so finely adapted to its environment. From the forests of what is now North America to the deserts of Asia, from the river deltas of South America to the mountains of Antarctica, dinosaurs occupy every corner of the planet. This is the golden age of dinosaur diversity. Herbivores roam in astonishing variety. In the north, herds of hadrosaurs dominate the floodplains: Edmontosaurus, Parasaurolophus, Corythosaurus, each with unique crests, voices, and behaviors. They migrate in massive groups, their footprints pressed into ancient riverbeds. Triceratops and its relatives graze alongside them. Horns clash in ritual displays, frills flare in the sunlight. Ankylosaurs lurk in the low brush, tails swaying like clubs. Their armor glistens with the dust of 100 battles they never needed to fight. In the south, titanosaurs reign. Argentinosaurus stretches more than 30 meters long. Dreadnoughtus carries the weight of a small building on 4 pillar legs. Saltosaurus, though smaller, carries osteoderms, bony plates embedded in its skin for defense. These massive herbivores move slowly, their size alone a fortress. They reshape the land with every step. And among them, small grazers thrive. Dryosaurs, thescelosaurs, and their relatives dart between giants, feeding on ground ferns and flowering plants. They are quick, alert, and always watching the shadows, because the predators are everywhere. In the north, Tyrannosaurus Rex rules the apex. Its presence alone clears the forest. But it is not alone. Its cousins Tarbosaurus and Albertosaurus stalk the lands further west and south. In the southern continents, abelisaurs rise to power. Carnotaurus, with its blunt horns and stubby arms, charges prey with ferocity. Majungasaurus bites and holds, twisting with brute force. In the forests of Asia, dromaeosaurs and troodontids hunt in packs. They are small, fast, and intelligent. They use claws and coordinated attacks. They chase prey into ambush zones. Some use their feathers for display, intimidation, or camouflage. Others may glide between trees. In the skies, birds now number in the thousands of species. They sing, dive, and flash across the canopy. Some nest in trees, some feed in open water. Their flight is no longer experimental, it is perfected. They fill ecological roles that no dinosaur ever touched before, and they compete with pterosaurs. Yet even the pterosaurs are not gone. Giants like Quetzalcoatlus still soar over plains, riding thermals and landing only to feed. They are quiet giants in the air, gliding over oceans, deserts, and forests. Beneath the waves, mosasaurs rule the seas. They are muscular, long-bodied reptiles with flippers, double-hinged jaws, and shark-like tails. They chase fish, ammonites, and even other marine reptiles. They are the tyrants of the ocean. Plesiosaurs continue as well, snapping at fish with needle-like teeth. And marine diversity below the surface is just as rich as on land. Coral reefs support complex ecosystems. Schools of fish glint in the light. Shelled creatures crawl across the sea floor. And in every region, life has found its balance. The planet has become a puzzle of ecosystems. Each piece fits perfectly, every predator balanced by prey, every plant feeding a web of herbivores, every climate shaping a unique assembly of life. On isolated islands, evolution creates strange wonders. Dwarf sauropods, oversized predators. Flightless birds with predator-like features. Dinosaurs grow horns, spikes, sails, frills, and clubs. Some mimic leaves, others worn with color. Some become runners, others diggers. The variety is not just wide, it is exquisite. This is evolution running at full speed. And in the fossil record, we find the evidence: bones, teeth, feathers, footprints, eggs. Each one tells a story. And together, they tell us this: life was everywhere. It was vivid. It was intelligent. And it was at its peak. Yet even in this golden age, change was coming. Not from predators, not from climate alone, but from far beyond the sky. The age of dinosaurs had reached its highest note, and soon it would end in silence. When most people think of dinosaurs, they imagine solitary giants, cold-blooded, instinct-driven, roaming the land with no connection to their young. But the fossil record tells a far different story. Beneath the thunder of footsteps and the flash of teeth lies a softer, more complex truth. Dinosaurs were not just survival machines. Many were parents, careful, patient, and in some cases, even nurturing. Parenting in the age of dinosaurs was as varied as the dinosaurs themselves. Some laid their eggs and moved on, others built nests, and a few remained to protect, warm, and raise their young. It begins with the eggs. Fossilized dinosaur eggs have been discovered on every continent. They come in many sizes, some no larger than a quail's, others as big as a football. The shape of the egg matters. Elongated eggs are often linked to theropods. Rounder eggs tend to come from sauropods and ornithopods. The shells vary in thickness and texture. Some are hard and calcified, others are leathery and porous. These details tell us about their environments. Hard shells survive better in dry, open spaces. Soft shells are better suited to humid, protected environments like buried nests or dense vegetation. Nests themselves reveal even more. Many dinosaurs arranged their eggs in spirals or concentric circles, often in shallow pits dug into the soil. Some covered their eggs with sand, vegetation, or mud, relying on solar heat or decomposition for incubation. Others, like certain oviraptors, may have remained near or on the nest, using body heat to keep the eggs warm. An extraordinary fossil from Mongolia shows an adult oviraptorid crouched directly over a clutch of eggs, wings extended protectively. This single image, frozen in time, offers undeniable proof of parental care. But it doesn't end at the nest. Hadrosaur nesting grounds discovered in Montana and Asia show dozens, even hundreds, of nests clustered together. Eggs are laid in orderly patterns. Hatchling fossils are found with developing bones and teeth, suggesting they stayed in the nest after birth. Some paleontologists believe hadrosaur parents returned to the same nesting sites each year, much like modern birds. They may have brought food to their young. They may have defended them from predators. Trackways near nesting sites show tiny footprints alongside larger ones. Young dinosaurs walking with adults, moving in step, learning by following. These herds were more than feeding machines. They were families. The crests and calls of hadrosaurs were not just for show, they were part of a communication system. Deep calls may have signaled alarm, short calls for gathering. Parents and offspring likely recognized each other's voices in a sea of noise and motion. Ceratopsians also show signs of family dynamics. Mass death sites containing dozens of Triceratops-like dinosaurs suggest they lived and died together. Some paleontologists believe they formed close-knit herds, using their frills and horns for both defense and interaction. Young individuals often show faster growth in limbs, indicating they needed to move quickly to keep up with adults. This suggests coordinated movement and protection. Even sauropods, once thought to be entirely solitary, are now believed to have nested in groups. Massive nesting grounds in Argentina reveal thousands of eggs laid in clusters. Sauropods like Tyrannosaurs may have returned to the same locations for generations. The sheer number of nests suggests these giants had some form of reproductive strategy beyond simple egg-laying. Some may have used the heat of the sun or geothermal soil to incubate eggs. Others may have covered nests in rotting vegetation to generate warmth. And while adult sauropods likely didn't stay to protect the nests, their strategy was strength in numbers. Lay enough eggs, and at least a few will survive. Theropods offer some of the most fascinating clues. True dontids, closely related to modern birds, laid their eggs in paired sets, suggesting the use of two functional oviducts, a trait seen in some birds. Their nests were sometimes lined with vegetation or sand. Their skeletons show features that suggest brooding behavior, such as belly feathers and nesting postures. The embryos inside some fossilized eggs are curled in positions similar to modern birds, indicating shared developmental patterns. Raptors, like Velociraptor, may have guarded their nests aggressively. With their sharp senses and strong claws, they were more than capable of defending offspring. Some theropods likely taught their young to hunt, leading them to small prey or teaching ambush strategies. These were not monsters, they were caretakers. Mammal-like dinosaurs, such as some small ornithopods, show even deeper behavioral complexity. Burrows found with multiple individuals, including juveniles, suggest underground nests shared by family groups. These spaces provided shelter from weather, predators, and fire. Fossilized feces coprolites found near nests contain fragments of digested plants and insects. This suggests parents may have fed their young, or at least shared territory where food was accessible. Parenting also shaped physical evolution. Dinosaurs that nested communally often developed better social cues. Visual display structures, crests, frills, coloration helped family members recognize each other. Vocal cords and air sacs allowed for long-distance calls and varied communication. The larger the group, the more vital the ability to interact. Parenting wasn't just about protecting eggs, it was about guiding behavior, passing on survival strategies, and adapting together. This care extended to migration. Some species may have timed nesting with climate cycles, laying eggs just as food became abundant. Others likely taught routes to food, water, or safe nesting zones. This would have required memory, coordination, and even emotional bonds. Some of the most dramatic evidence comes from mass nesting events. Entire valleys covered in fossilized nests, layers upon layers, built year after year. It paints a picture of life repeated over generations. The smell of vegetation, the sounds of hatchlings chirping, the heavy footsteps of returning adults. The Cretaceous Earth was not just a battlefield, it was a nursery, a place where towering reptiles gently nudged eggs with their snouts, where juveniles huddled beneath frills and feathers, where a single call could summon a herd to protect their own. This is not fantasy. It is in the bones. It is in the way the fossils are arranged, in the growth patterns of teeth, in the healed fractures of limbs once broken during youthful stumbles. Dinosaurs did not rule the world through strength alone. They ruled it by raising the next generation, teaching them to walk, to forage, to flee, passing down a legacy written not in books, but in behavior. They were ancient. They were alien. But in their parenting, we see something deeply familiar, something that still echoes today. In the nests of birds, in the watchful eyes of reptiles, and perhaps in the way we care for our own. In a world filled with danger, communication is survival. And for the dinosaurs that lived in herds, communication became a language of movement, sound, posture, and presence. Some were massive, walking tanks with tails like clubs. Others were swift grazers with crests that pierced the sky. But no matter the shape or size, When they moved together, they became something more. They became communities. And in these prehistoric communities, the ability to communicate determined who thrived, who protected their young, and who fell to predators. Herding behavior appears early in dinosaur history, but it becomes most advanced during the Cretaceous period. Hadrosaurs lead the charge. Known as the duck-billed dinosaurs, hadrosaurs traveled in massive numbers. Entire fossil beds contain hundreds of individuals, from hatchlings to full-grown adults. They move as one, and they do not move in silence. Many hadrosaur species developed elaborate cranial crests, hollow chambers connected to their nasal passages. Species like Parasaurolophus had tubes that curled backward over their skulls, forming natural resonating chambers. These chambers allowed them to produce deep, haunting calls. Long, low notes that could travel over valleys and through forests. Scientists have used 3D models of these crests to simulate their sounds. The result is something like a foghorn-rich, low-frequency vibrations that can be felt as much as heard. These sounds were not random. They served purposes: to call mates, to warn of danger, to keep herds together through dense vegetation or in the dark. Young hadrosaurs likely imprinted on their parents' calls the way modern birds and mammals do. This vocal recognition helped keep the group organized, especially in large herds stretching hundreds of meters across. Communication went beyond sound. Posture mattered. The angle of the neck, the flare of the tail, the rise of a crest all could signal emotion or intent. A sudden shift in body stance might mean a predator had been spotted. A rapid stomp or tail flick could trigger a stampede. These visual cues allowed coordination without words. Ceratopsians, like Triceratops and Styracosaurus, had their own visual tools. Their frills were not just armor. They were likely used for display, flashing color patterns, signaling status, or expressing mood. Horns too had social value. Fossil evidence shows wear and healed fractures consistent with horn-to-horn combat. These were not fatal battles, but tests of dominance, ritualized fights like those seen in modern bighorn sheep or deer. The winners led. The defeated submitted or challenged again later. Within herds, these displays reduced violence and organized social structures. Even stegosaurs, long thought solitary, are now believed to have shown social behavior. Trackways suggest multiple individuals moving in the same direction, possibly as a unit. Their plates, once assumed purely defensive, may have been used for signaling. The plates are highly vascularized. Blood could flow into them, allowing changes in color. In times of threat or excitement, a stegosaurus might flush its plates bright red to intimidate or warn others. This kind of communication doesn't rely on language. It relies on visibility, recognition, and consistency. Herbivorous dinosaurs that lived in open plains relied on movement to stay coordinated. Just as wildebeest and zebras in today's world move in waves across the savanna, Cretaceous herds moved in fluid formations. They traveled in lines, curves, and spirals. Some paleontologists believe these patterns helped regulate group behavior, positioning juveniles in the center, flanking the vulnerable with stronger adults. Predators like Tyrannosaurus likely learned to test the edges of these herds. They targeted stragglers, weaklings, or the sick. But herds had their own defenses. A sudden burst of noise, a rapid turn, a wall of horns or a tide of tails. The message was clear: this is not a lone target, this is a community. Even their footsteps communicated. Fossilized trackways show consistent stride lengths, rhythm, and spacing. They walked in sync. And sometimes they ran in sync stampedes that left gouged ground and crushed vegetation in their wake. Smaller dinosaurs had their own social structures. Hypsilophodontids and thescelosaurs likely formed flocks. They fed together, rested together, alerted each other to threats with chirps or sudden motion. Juveniles remained with parents or siblings for extended periods. The survival rate of these animals increased significantly when they lived in groups. And for predators, communication was just as vital. Packs of dromaeosaurs may have hunted cooperatively. One would flush out prey, others would intercept. Vocalizations, eye contact, and posture could be enough to coordinate the ambush. In pterosaurs and early birds, calls and dances played important roles. Mating displays grew more complex. Some waved crests, others bobbed heads or spread wings. These behaviors were not simply for reproduction. They reinforced bonds. Within flocks, within species, within mates. Sociality had arrived. Dinosaurs were not machines. They were individuals in a society, sometimes chaotic, sometimes ordered, but always interactive. And the rules of that society were shaped by communication. Some herds moved hundreds of kilometers with the seasons. They followed water, plants, and warmth. The ability to communicate over distance, to maintain group structure, was critical. When nesting, calls organized colonies. When traveling, body language kept juveniles in place. When threatened, herd behavior overwhelmed attackers. Some of the strongest evidence for dinosaur communication comes from mass fossil sites. Bone beds in North America, Asia, and South America contain hundreds of individuals buried together. They did not die alone. They lived and died in groups. Some sites even preserve behaviors frozen in time. A group huddled together in death. A parent protecting a juvenile. A row of individuals standing side by side, facing the same direction. Perhaps they were waiting, migrating, resting. We will never know the words, but we can read the patterns, and the patterns speak volumes. Dinosaurs spoke not through syllables, but through signals. And in doing so, they built social worlds just as rich as the ones we know today. Herding meant survival. Communication meant coordination. And the sounds and movements of the dinosaur world shaped the land as surely as footprints and bones. As the Cretaceous period continues, Earth begins to stretch and pull apart. The single landmass that once connected the world Pangea is now long gone. In its place are drifting continents, separated by growing oceans and shifting climate belts. This separation does more than redraw coastlines. It triggers one of the greatest experiments in evolution: isolation. When land masses fragment, species become trapped in their own isolated ecosystems, unable to migrate or interbreed with distant relatives. They begin to change. Driven by local climate, terrain, and food sources, these isolated dinosaurs follow separate evolutionary paths. North America splits from Europe. South America drifts westward. Africa pulls away from Antarctica. India moves toward Asia. Australia and Antarctica stay linked longer, but gradually drift apart. This movement is slow, measured in centimeters per year, but over millions of years, it transforms everything. In North America, isolation allows the rise of iconic species like Tyrannosaurus Rex and Triceratops. These dinosaurs become highly specialized, shaped by competition and a stable landmass rich in prey and plants. Hadrosaurs dominate the floodplains. Ankylosaurs perfect their armor. Tyrannosaurs grow larger, smarter, more efficient. No other place gives rise to predators quite like North America. In South America, something very different happens. There, the sauropods never disappear. In fact, they flourish. Giants like Argentinosaurus, Dreadnoughtus, and Saltosaurus walk the ancient pampas. They grow longer, heavier, more armored. Even as other continents see the decline of sauropods, South America becomes their final stronghold. Alongside them, the abelisaurs rise. Carnotaurus, with its deep skull and vestigial arms, becomes one of the most specialized predators on the planet. Its short snout delivers bone-crushing bites. Its legs are built for speed. Its horns may have been used in ritual combat. These predators are nothing like tyrannosaurs. They evolve in isolation, without ever crossing paths. Their designs are solutions to different evolutionary puzzles. In Africa, diversity is high but more fragmented. Spinosaurus emerges as a river hunter. Long-jawed, fish-eating, possibly semi-aquatic, it defies comparison with other theropods. Its sail remains a mystery, perhaps used for thermoregulation, display or balance in water. Other predators like Carcharodontosaurus fill traditional apex roles, hunting large herbivores across the inland deserts. The herbivores themselves include rebbachisaurids, dicraeosaurids, and various iguanodonts. In India, which is still an isolated landmass by the late Cretaceous, the dinosaurs take on unique forms. Rajasaurus, a short-snouted abelosaurid, becomes the region's top predator. Its fossils are rare, but they suggest adaptations for powerful bites and territorial combat. India's isolation prevents the migration of northern predators, allowing abelosaurs and titanosaurs to remain dominant. In Europe, land is fragmented into island chains. This leads to insular dwarfism, large dinosaurs evolving into smaller forms due to limited resources. Mega-tsunamis, a tiny sauropod from what is now Romania, is a perfect example. It retains the body plan of its massive ancestors, but is no larger than a modern cow. Predators like below show odd limb structures, perhaps adapted for island stalking or climbing. Island life shapes everything differently. In Asia, particularly in what is now Mongolia and China, a different kind of innovation unfolds. The evolution of small theropods accelerates. Feathered dinosaurs become more common. Velociraptor, oviraptor, microraptor, Sinornithosaurus, these are agile, smart, and possibly social hunters. They live in varied environments, deserts, forests, river valleys. Many show signs of nesting, brooding, and parental care. Asia becomes the birthplace of birds. In fact, the greatest diversity of feathered, non-avian dinosaurs is found here. Some have wings but do not fly. Others glide. A few take to the air entirely. The boundaries between dinosaur and bird blur. This evolutionary pressure, amplified by environmental change and competition, creates forms never seen elsewhere. Antarctica and Australia, though less explored, hold secrets too. Their shared landmass supports cold-adapted dinosaurs. Some hadrosaurs and ankylosaurs evolved to live in months of darkness. Their eyes are larger. Their metabolism may be more efficient. They are not tropical wanderers. They are survivors of harsh climates. As Antarctica begins to freeze and Australia pulls away, new forms emerge. But much of this world remains buried in ice or rock, waiting to be uncovered. Continental drift doesn't just affect land animals. It reshapes ocean currents, weather systems, and sea levels. New coastlines form. Inland seas rise and fall. Isolation occurs even in marine environments. Mosasaurs diversify in the western interior seaway of North America. In Europe, different forms evolve in the shallow tropical lagoons. This pattern of divergence through isolation happens everywhere. It accelerates evolution. It forces species to specialize. Without competition from global predators, local creatures dominate. Dinosaurs become more varied than ever. Horns twist into new shapes. Crests elongate, flatten, or spiral. Tail clubs grow thicker. Armors become spiked, plated, or fused. Feathers lengthen, shift, and form new patterns. Colors change to match environments. Behavior shifts with geography. Some become migrators. Others become territorial defenders. In the fossil record, we see this story etched in bone and stone. No longer is there one dinosaur world. There are many, each a chapter of evolution written on a different continent. Each species a response to a unique set of challenges. When the asteroid comes, it does not strike a uniform world. It strikes a planet of diversity. And that diversity, while beautiful, cannot stop what is coming. But until that moment, the continents breathe life into forms never before imagined. Dinosaurs were not static. They were travelers, adapters, and inventors molded by time, pressure, and separation. Continental drift scattered their legacy across the globe. And in doing so, it gave us a world more varied, more spectacular, and more alive than anything before or since. It is the twilight of the Cretaceous period, and yet the world is far from quiet. This is not a fading age, not a world winding down. This is the final crescendo. This is the last age of giants. By now, Earth is rich with biodiversity. The continents have drifted far apart, creating ecosystems as distinct as they are abundant. Dinosaurs have reached their peak in form, function, and complexity. And in this final stretch of their reign, the giants walk taller, hunt harder, and live louder than ever before. In North America, the land is split by a vast inland sea, dividing the continent into western and eastern halves. On the western side lies the land of the last titans. Here, herds of Edmontosaurus roam the floodplains. These duck-billed hadrosaurs move in massive numbers, leaving behind trails of footprints and fossilized impressions of skin. Their heads carry no crests, but their social structure is advanced. They graze, travel, and raise young as cohesive units. Among them moves the armored Ankylosaurus. Low to the ground, broad, and covered in bony plates, it is built like a living tank. Its tail ends in a solid club of bone, a weapon capable of shattering bone and warding off even the most determined predator. And lurking in the shadows of the forest, stalking the herd, is the undisputed apex predator of the age. Tyrannosaurus Rex. It is not the first tyrannosaur, but it is the most refined. 20 feet tall, 40 feet long, and weighing more than 8 tons, it is power incarnate. Its jaws are filled with banana-shaped teeth, designed not just to kill, but to pulverize. Its bite force is among the strongest of any terrestrial animal in Earth's history. It hunts alone or in mated pairs, and it dominates its environment with a combination of speed, intelligence, and raw force. Farther south, in what is now Mexico, the forests are dense and hot. Horned dinosaurs like Torosaurus and Pachyrhinosaurus browse among cycads and flowering plants. Their frills are massive, their horns varied in size and shape. These features are used not only for defense, but for mating displays and recognition. Across the seas in Asia, Mongolia's deserts hold their own giants. Tarbosaurus, a close relative of Tyrannosaurus, stalks the sands. Oviraptors guard nests built among dunes. Protoceratops graze in the sparse vegetation, often falling prey to the clever and agile velociraptors that hunt in packs or pairs. The climate is warm, but fluctuating. Seasons are more defined. Flowering plants dominate many landscapes, feeding a growing diversity of herbivores. In South America, titanosaurs remain dominant. Saltosaurus, Alamosaurus, and other sauropods roam the semi-arid plains. Though smaller than their Jurassic ancestors, these giants are still awe-inspiring. Their sheer size provides protection, while their massive herds shape the land with every step. Predators like Abelisaurus and Carnotaurus prowl nearby. Shorter snouts, reduced arms, and deep skulls make them uniquely terrifying. Europe is a land of islands. Smaller species evolve here, dwarfed sauropods, nimble theropods, and compact herbivores. Island dwarfism shapes everything. Resources are limited. Survival favors those who adapt quickly. In India, isolated from the rest of the world, a unique ecosystem thrives. Titanosaurs dominate the herbivores, while the predator, Rajasaurus, stalks the land. Its stubby horns and powerful build reflect adaptation to its particular corner of Cretaceous Earth. Antarctica and Australia, joined for part of this period, hold dinosaurs suited for colder climates. Polar hadrosaurs grow larger eyes. Some may have had seasonal behaviors, such as long migrations or torpor-like states during dark winters. The skies are alive with birds and pterosaurs. While many pterosaur species have declined, some giants remain Quetzalcoatlus among them. With wingspans stretching over 10 meters, they glide over coastlines and plains, searching for carrion or prey. Birds have diversified into countless forms. Some dive, some perch, some race across the ground in pursuit of insects. Beneath the seas, mosasaurs dominate. Their long, muscular bodies and double-hinged jaws make them the undisputed rulers of the ocean. Plesiosaurs continue to thrive in deeper waters, and ammonites still drift in the currents, some growing large and elaborate. On the surface, everything appears balanced. Dinosaurs are not declining, they are thriving. But deep beneath the calm, the Earth is rumbling. Volcanic activity is increasing, particularly in what is now India. The Deccan traps begin to erupt. Massive basalt flows pour from fissures, releasing gases into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide levels fluctuate. Some regions experience warming, others cool. Seasonal instability increases, yet dinosaurs adapt. They have faced worse. They move, they change, they survive. But then, one day, a new force enters the story. Not from beneath, but from above. For now, they do not know. For now, they walk the land unaware. This is their last age. The last time their footsteps will shape the world. The last time their calls echo across continents. The final chapter of the greatest reign in terrestrial history. This is the world on the edge of extinction. And the giants have no idea what is coming. It begins with light. A sudden, blinding, unnatural light streaking across the sky. In the final days of the Cretaceous, one bright object races toward Earth at unimaginable speed. The animals do not know what it is. They only sense the unnatural stillness. Birds go silent. Herds pause. The sky seems to shimmer. And then it hits. An asteroid more than 10 kilometers wide slams into the shallow sea near what is now the Yucatán Peninsula. The force of the impact is beyond comprehension. It releases more energy than billions of nuclear bombs. A fireball expands faster than sound. Shockwaves race outward. The ocean boils. The crust of the Earth cracks. Molten rock explodes skyward. Vaporized seawater rushes into the stratosphere. The impact creates a crater more than 180 kilometers wide. Debris rains down across the globe. The sky fills with fire. Forests ignite. Animals are incinerated instantly. But this is only the beginning. The true killer is what follows. Ash, dust, and sulfur aerosols fill the upper atmosphere. They form a thick, sun-blocking veil that wraps around the planet. For months, sunlight barely penetrates the atmosphere. Photosynthesis stops. Plants wither. The food chain collapses from the bottom up. What was once a lush, vibrant world becomes dim, cold, and quiet. Temperatures plummet. Acid rain falls. Famine spreads across every continent. The giants suffer first. The massive herbivores, dependent on vast amounts of plant matter, begin to starve. With them go the predators. Tyrannosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Abelisaurus, all fall as their food sources disappear. Nesting grounds are abandoned. Eggs lie cold. Juveniles cry out in the dark with no answers. In the oceans, mosasaurs and plesiosaurs perish as marine ecosystems break down. Plankton dies, and with it, the creatures that feed on them. Entire food webs unravel. Coral reefs bleach and collapse. Ammonites, once the most widespread marine invertebrates, vanish completely. On land, wildfires rage, consuming entire forests. Smoke and soot add to the choking sky. Acidification poisons rivers and lakes. Volcanic eruptions in India continue to pump more gas into the air, worsening the crisis. This is no single catastrophe. It is a chain reaction of destruction, a global system failure. And most of Earth's great creatures do not survive it. The age of dinosaurs, after more than 160 million years, comes to an end. Some fall in hours. Others last days, weeks, or months. A few cling on for years before disappearing. But by the end, they are gone. The sky clears eventually. Sunlight returns, but it finds a different world. A quieter world. A broken world. Over 70% of all species on Earth are gone. The land is still. The oceans are empty. and the sound of dinosaur calls no longer echoes across the valleys. Yet not all life vanishes. Some birds survive. Small, seed-eating species tucked into burrows or forests. Their descendants will one day reclaim the skies. Mammals survive too. Tiny, furry, adaptable. They scavenge, hide, and endure. Insects survive. Reptiles. Amphibians. From the ashes, the story continues. But the chapter of dinosaur domination has ended. Not with slow decline, but with a sudden, violent punctuation mark written in stone and fire. In the rocks, a thin layer of iridium-rich clay marks the moment. It is found around the world. In mountains, deserts, and sea cliffs. A fingerprint of extinction. A scar from the sky. This was the impact that changed everything. And in its silence, the stage is set for something new. The age of dinosaurs ends. The age of mammals begins. But the memory of the giants does not fade. They are etched into the earth, preserved in stone, and whispered through the bones that still sleep beneath our feet. They ruled the world not by chance, but by brilliance. They walked in herds. They cared for their young. They adapted, survived, and thrived. And when they vanished, they left behind a planet forever shaped by their presence. This was their world. And for over 160 million years, they ruled it completely. In the aftermath of the asteroid, the world is a graveyard. The age of dinosaurs has ended in fire and silence. Yet, not every dinosaur perishes. A few survive small, feathered, and airborne. From the ashes of extinction, a new kind of ruler rises to claim the skies. The survivors are not the great horned ceratopsians or the massive sauropods. They are not the armored ankylosaurs or the terrible tyrannosaurs. Instead, it is the unassuming creatures lightweight, warm-blooded, beaked, and adapted for life in the trees that endure. They are birds, not just descendants of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. They carry the lineage of theropods in their bones, in their feathers, in their eggs, and in their behaviors. They are what remain, and they are the beginning of something entirely new. How did they survive when others did not? The answer lies in their biology, their habits, and perhaps a little bit of luck. First, their size. Most surviving birds were small. This meant lower energy requirements, faster reproduction, and greater adaptability. While giants starved, smaller animals could survive on seeds, insects, or carrion. Second, their diet. Many early birds were omnivores or granivores. They could eat a variety of foods. Seeds, in particular, are hardy. They can survive long periods buried in soil. Seed-eating birds could weather months of ecological collapse when green plants disappeared. Third, their nesting habits. Birds built nests in trees or in burrows, often well protected. Some could incubate eggs with their own body heat, maintaining stable environments despite the cold. Fourth, their mobility. Wings gave birds a unique advantage. They could flee wildfires, relocate, and seek refuge more easily than land-bound animals. Even flightless birds could run or hide with agility. And finally, their social behavior. Many birds live in flocks, communicate with calls, and display cooperative instincts. This made them highly adaptable in chaotic conditions. Fossil evidence shows that a group of birds called neornithes, modern birds, survived the extinction. They split into multiple lineages. Some remained ground dwellers. Others returned to trees. Some became water birds, diving for fish. Others spread to the open skies. As ecosystems recovered, these birds exploded in diversity. They radiated into every niche that had once been occupied by pterosaurs, small dinosaurs, and insectivores. In forests, songbirds began to evolve. Small, light, and agile, they fed on seeds, insects, and fruit. Their colors became brighter, their songs more elaborate. They became messengers of life's resilience. In wetlands, Waterfowl evolved ducks, geese, and waders with long legs and filtering beaks. They adapted to shallow lakes, swamps, and coastlines. Some fed on aquatic plants. Others hunted small fish or insects. Birds of prey took to the skies. Hawks and eagles evolved keen eyesight and sharp talons. They ruled the skies with speed and precision. Their ancestry traced back to hunters like dromaeosaurs and troodontids. On islands, flightless birds appeared. Without predators, some birds lost their ability to fly and grew large. Moas, elephant birds, and the dodo would one day emerge echoes of a world that had once belonged to titans. And in the oceans, seabirds emerged. With webbed feet, strong wings, and specialized salt glands, they colonized the open seas. Albatrosses, gulls, and penguins evolved in waves. Everywhere life returned, birds were there. They were first to repopulate burned forests, first to nest in cliffs and trees, first to sing after the silence. They carried not only their own legacy, but the legacy of those that came before. Inside their skeletons are hollow bones, light and strong, like their theropod ancestors. Inside their feathers are pigments and patterns, descended from the coats that once warmed raptors in cold nights. Inside their eggs are embryos coiled like those of ancient dinosaurs. And inside their brains are memories coded by evolution of how to hunt, how to hide, how to build, and how to fly. Modern birds are more than just survivors. They are transformers. They took the ruins of a fallen world and built something new. Today, there are over 10,000 species of birds. They live on every continent, in every ocean, on the highest peaks and the deepest caves. They cross deserts, circle poles, and sing in the middle of cities. They navigate by stars. They remember distant lands. They pass knowledge through generations. They are the living legacy of the age of dinosaurs. Watch a crow solve a puzzle. See a falcon dive. Listen to the song of a thrush echoing in the forest. And you are hearing echoes of a time when the earth shook beneath the feet of giants. Birds are the final chapter of the dinosaur story, but they are also the next chapter in the story of life. In their wings is freedom. In their bones, a history written in stone. In their calls, a reminder that even after fire, ice, and darkness, life finds a way to rise again. They did not inherit the earth by brute strength. They inherited it by being ready, by being small, by being smart, and by never giving up. And because of them, the spirit of the dinosaurs still soars across the skies. The dinosaurs are gone. The skies once ruled by pterosaurs now belong to birds. The seas once dominated by mosasaurs are quiet. The forests, the plains, and the mountains lie still. And in that silence, something stirs. Small, furry, alert. A creature emerges from its burrow. Its nose twitches. Its ears swivel. Its eyes scan the sky. The world it steps into is broken, but wide open. This is the world after dinosaurs, and it is ready for something new. The mammals have arrived. They were always here, quietly thriving in the shadows. During the age of dinosaurs, mammals lived underground, in trees, and in the dark. They were small, rarely larger than a rat. They avoided competition, kept to the edges of ecosystems, and waited. Now, their time has come. With the dinosaurs gone, so too are the giant herbivores and apex predators. The forests regrow, the skies clear, and the food web begins to rebuild. Mammals are ready. Why did they survive when so many others did not? Part of the answer lies in their biology. Mammals are warm-blooded. They regulate their own temperature, allowing them to survive the freezing winters after the impact. They give birth to live young. No eggs to abandon. No nests to leave vulnerable. Their young develop inside the mother, protected and nourished. This gives their offspring a better chance in a dangerous, unstable world. Mammals also have fur. It insulates. It protects. It helps maintain body heat during long periods of cold and darkness. And mammals are smart. Even the earliest ones show signs of advanced brains, complex senses, and social behaviors. They remember food sources. They navigate territory. They learn quickly. But most importantly, mammals are adaptable. They eat anything seeds, roots, insects, small animals. They dig, climb, swim, and run. They hide when needed. They defend when necessary. After the extinction, mammals begin to evolve rapidly. This is known as adaptive radiation, when a group of organisms diversifies quickly into new forms to fill vacant ecological roles. Without dinosaurs, those roles are everywhere, and mammals rush to fill them. Some grow larger. Within a few million years, new species emerge. Herbivorous mammals that browse and graze, like early relatives of deer and horses. Carnivorous mammals with sharp teeth and fast reflexes, like early creodonts and mesonychids. Omnivores that scavenge, dig, and adapt to anything, like the ancestors of raccoons and bears. In the trees, primates appear. Small, grasping creatures with forward-facing eyes. They leap, climb, and communicate. They form bonds, live in groups, and pass on learned behaviors. They are not dominant yet, but they are watching. Some mammals return to the water. Pangea, a small land-dwelling carnivore, begins to hunt near rivers. Over generations, its descendants adapt to aquatic life. Limbs become flippers. Nostrils migrate upward. Bodies streamline. Eventually, these animals evolve into whales and dolphins, the largest mammals to ever live. Others become burrowers, digging through soil, eating roots, hiding from predators. Some evolve into moles. Some become armadillos or anteaters. Everywhere you look, mammals are rising. On the plains, hoofed mammals spread fast runners with strong teeth and social herds. They evolve into antelopes, horses, rhinos, and elephants. In the forests, rodents multiply. They gnaw, nest, and build. They evolve quickly, becoming one of the most numerous groups on the planet. Bats appear, taking to the skies. No feathers, just skin and bone stretched into wings. They hunt insects and later fruit. They become one of the only mammals capable of powered flight. Marsupials evolve in isolation. In Australia, they dominate. Kangaroos, wombats, and koalas rise to take the roles other mammals hold elsewhere. The world becomes a stage for mammalian innovation. Where dinosaurs once ruled by size, mammals rule by intelligence, speed, and adaptability. And they do not stop. They explore new behaviors, tool use, complex social structures, vocal communication, long-term memory, emotional bonding. They become caregivers, hunters, builders, thinkers. Their brains grow. Their senses sharpen. Their societies become more advanced. And among them, one branch begins to walk upright, to use fire, to paint on cave walls, to tell stories of thunder lizards and gods in the sky. Humans are not yet here in the age of mammal rise. But the seeds are planted. The traits are forming. The legacy is building. The dinosaurs are gone, but their world is not forgotten. It shaped the land, the oceans, the climate. It set the rules that mammals now play by. And within the mammals, something of the dinosaurs survives. A shared ancestor. A spark of resilience. The mammals are not just lucky survivors. They are nature's next experiment. An answer to a world that demands flexibility, learning, and cooperation. They do not roar like tyrannosaurs. They do not tower like sauropods. But they will leave their own mark. A mark just as deep, just as enduring. And in time, they will look back across millions of years and uncover the bones of giants. They will wonder who came before. They will piece together the story. And they will realize We walk in the footsteps of the titans who ruled before us. The mammals inherited the world, and with it, the memory of everything that came before. Millions of years have passed. The world has changed beyond recognition. The continents have moved again. Oceans have shifted. Ice ages have come and gone. And yet, the legacy of dinosaurs is all around us. They may be gone as rulers of the earth, but their story did not end with extinction. It continues in stone, in life, in air, and in us. Walk into a museum and stand before a skeleton of Tyrannosaurus Rex. You're not just looking at ancient bones. You're staring at a memory locked in rock. Every curve of rib, every tooth, every claw. It tells a story of evolution, of struggle, of survival. Dinosaurs built the ecosystems of the Mesozoic. They shaped the landscape by migration, grazing, and hunting. They formed the foundations for the modern world. And even though they disappeared, their legacy remained in ways most never realize. In modern birds, the most direct link to the dinosaurs is still alive. Every chirp, every flap, every nest is part of that inheritance. The beak, the wishbone, the hollow bones, all carry the design forged in theropods. The very act of flight was perfected long before planes ever existed. And it was dinosaurs who taught the sky how to sing. Watch an eagle soar. See a hummingbird hover. Listen to a robin's song. You're not just witnessing nature, you're watching the evolution of dinosaurs continue in real time. But their legacy doesn't end with birds. It extends into the earth itself. Many of the world's great fossil beds were formed during the age of dinosaurs. They preserved not just bones, but skin imprints, feather traces, eggs, nests, footprints, and even droppings. These windows into the past allow us to reconstruct behavior, movement, color, even the sounds of the Mesozoic. The geology of dinosaur extinction, the layer of iridium left by the asteroid impact, forms a global marker. Scientists use it to separate two eras, the Cretaceous and the Paleogene. It's a boundary between worlds, between dominance and survival, between what was and what came next. The extinction of the dinosaurs made space for mammals and eventually for humans. But we did not replace them. We inherited the world they shaped. Even in modern biology, dinosaurs taught us critical lessons. They showed us how life can grow to massive sizes, how ecosystems can balance predator and prey, how evolution tinkers with bone and muscle to create horns, sails, crests, and armor. We use dinosaur anatomy to understand biomechanics, how muscles attach, how joints move, how weight is distributed. These lessons help engineers design better machines, robots, even prosthetic limbs. In paleontology, the study of dinosaurs has advanced science itself. Technologies like 3D scanning, CT imaging, isotopic analysis, and molecular biology have all grown because of efforts to study ancient bones. These tools now help us study human diseases, fossils of early humans, and climate patterns from the deep past. Dinosaurs changed the way we think about extinction. Before their discovery, few believed that entire species could vanish. But the fossil record proved otherwise. It revealed that Earth is not static. It's a planet in constant transformation, with winners and losers in every era. Dinosaurs taught us humility. They were here for over 160 million years. They built complex ecosystems, mastered land and sky, and then vanished in a geological instant. If they could fall, so could anything. Even us. Their fossils inspire wonder in children. Their skeletons fuel imagination in artists and filmmakers. Their story drives scientists to dig deeper, to ask more, to dream bigger. They are not just creatures of the past. They are symbols of life's potential. They are emblems of nature's power and reminders of its fragility. In culture, dinosaurs have become legends. They've taken root in mythology, storytelling, cinema, video games, and art. They bridge science and fantasy. They are both real and larger than life. From Jurassic Park to classroom posters, they live in our collective memory. Every time a fossil is unearthed, a piece of their world returns. Each new discovery, a tooth, a claw, a footprint, adds another word to their story. They are still teaching us, still shaping us, still reaching across time. And perhaps the most profound legacy is how they changed our place in the universe. They remind us that the world was not made for humans. We arrived late. The dinosaurs walked this planet, ruled it, and left their mark long before we appeared. Their reign was not measured in centuries or even millennia, but in epochs. They thrived while continents drifted, climates shifted, and oceans rose and fell. They adapted. They diversified. And when they were gone, the Earth kept turning. They show us that life is bigger than one species, that nature is resilient and brutal and beautiful all at once. They teach us that extinction is real, but so is rebirth, that endings can lead to beginnings. And in that truth lies hope. Today, as we face our own environmental challenges, as we alter the climate, deforest the land, and pollute the seas, the story of the dinosaurs stands as both inspiration and warning. They did not die because they were weak. They died because the world changed faster than they could. Their story is a lesson written in stone. Adapt or disappear. Respect nature or be humbled by it. The dinosaurs are gone, but they are not forgotten. They walk with us, not in body, but in history, in science, in imagination. And every time a bird takes flight, every time a child holds a fossil, every time someone wonders what came before, the dinosaurs live again. They are more than fossils. They are time travelers, messengers from another world. Not just a world that once was, but a world that still echoes in everything we are. This was the age of dinosaur domination. It shaped the planet. It shaped life. And its legacy lives on. In rock, in bone, in sky, and in the hearts of those who still look up and wonder.